Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 2, Infected. The recap, breakdown, and review commentary. We're going to explain this one. We're going to break it down. It's the first episode directed by the game creator, director Neil Druckmann. This is his, I believe, television debut for directing. And it is another good episode of The Last of Us. My co-host Joe Dirtylocks will be with us in a few. He was trying to click on the HBO app to watch the episode right at time. It wasn't loading. It took him till 20 minutes in to watch the episode. I don't know if anyone else was having that problem, but that is a credit to how many people watched last week the first episode, the opening episode, which was apparently HBO's number 2 highest rated premiere episode of all time. I think right behind House of the Dragon and very close to Boardwalk Empire. There was a weird statistic where they were saying since Boardwalk Empire, I'd have to look at the exact numbers. If they're goosing it a little bit, if they're mavericking it, if they're messing with it, if they're tickling it in their special parts. I don't know what I'm talking about here, but I'm out here tonight to talk about this episode. I'm stalling for Joe. He just texted me. Let's see Joe's timetable here because he's logging on right now. Because I know a lot of you probably will want to hear from the person that played the game tonight. I enjoyed this episode, but I know there were some changes. I don't even know exactly what they were, but I can imagine there are, and we're going to get into that. We're going to break that down when we get Joe into it tonight. But again, this episode was more about, well, we'll get to Tess in a bit, but was establishing Ellie a bit more in this episode. We got to know Bella Ramsey's Ellie a bit more and see her personality. And I enjoyed her a lot in this episode. And that has me even more optimistic going forward. So, let me see. I'm happy. While we wait for Joe to pop on in here, I'm of course not alone. I have with me some of the best, some of the beautiful, some of the most amazing people around the Rockin' chat. Let's take a look at who we got in the chat right now with us. We got Killmonger, we got John Haymaker, we got Mark A. Houston. I can never rush the process, my friend. We got the wonderful, amazing Steph Snow. We got JSM Down. We got the wonderful, amazing Jackie C. We got JS Holgerson. I'm not going to kill your freaking name. I'm not going to kill your name. Yeah, Joe's late again. Joe is late again. Most of this podcast could be called Waiting for Joe to Come. I don't know why I'm playing with my hair. I'm like, now that I see the close up, it's time to play with my hair. I don't like this. No, whatever. Tickling up the old Tallahassee something. I don't know. Welcome Luna, welcome Slim, welcome again Steph Snow, welcome Lux, welcome, who else did I see in there that I haven't said hi to yet? Laura, great to see Laura, our new channel member. Igor, great to see Igor, one of our long times. Thank you so much to our channel members. I'm going to be doing a channel member video this week reviewing a show that came out on Netflix that doesn't warrant a whole review. Maybe I'll talk about it in a roundabout at some point. But I do want to bring, similar to what I did with Wednesday before. So I'm going to be giving the channel members and the Patreons people a little video this week as well. But to The Last of Us, we have a voicemail line. So if you want to call in and share your thoughts about this episode, 781-990-8509. Again, that's 781-990-8509. The character of Tess. Okay, this was a big episode for her. I saw Killmonger in the chat saying he enjoyed her comic death better. Oh, we got a Pulya in the live chat, and Iron Throne, and Atari Dad, too. Great to see all of our good friends. Thank you for joining me tonight. What am I doing? Let me open up the chat. Oh, no, take that down. There we go. There's the motherfucking chat. I don't know why I turned into Howard Cosell there for a second. I'm still not full on. I've coughed a lot the last couple of weeks. So suddenly my voice, when it gets tired, it will go into Howard Cosell. Here I go, everybody. It's time. We've got two gargantuan heroes coming out to the fight tonight. First of all, we got Joel and we got Tess. And then we got the motherfucker Ellie, who likes to say the word fuck. That's one of the things I got from this episode. And as I've said before, in relationship to comics that choose not to use the word after a while, some people say fuck good, and Bella Ramsey says fuck good. She was she it seemed very natural, and I enjoyed her in particular in this episode. I thought she had the most character in this episode. Tess was interesting too. You knew she got bit the moment she got bit, even from me not knowing what was to come in this episode. Just because her personality shifted, she totally got real angry, hangry for a second. She's like, "Oh, I'm about to die." But what I didn't realize in episode 1, and I did in this, and I did. I'm like Christopher Moltisanti. I didn't. What I did realize in this episode was that the actress that plays Tess was also in Mindhunters. She's the main actress for Mindhunters, which is one of my favorite series. And I didn't call it last week. I was all over the place. I had a schizoid embolism. I was snuffed in my uppagus. Yeah, that's what I was. Now do Harry Carey. I don't think anyone wants to hear my Harry Carey. Tess's scene was both heartbreaking and horrifying, says Maud Mary. We're going to get all into that. I see we got Joe Dirty Locks backstage. I'll pop him in here in a second. I'm very curious to see how this associated comparatively to her comic death. Do you, some of you that have played the game, do you feel more emotional about this death because Tess was more of a character? Is Tess not really a character in the comic and just like a temporary thing? We're going to bring Joe in a second, but I do want to say you can call in 781-990-8509. And I also, my poll is sticking up right now, and I want you guys all to click on it. So your ratings for episode 2. We got fucking amazing, damn, pretty good. Not bad, but slow down there, Charlie. Come on, slow down there, calling it, an HBO great already. Just slow down, Charlie. Or balls on a stick. Hated it. So far we got 33 votes, and as of right now, pretty good is winning, but fucking amazing is close. So get your votes in the poll if you haven't already. Let me add Joe to the stream. Let me make sure I got him over here. Do I got Joe? Joe, are you connected right now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we got Joe.
I am fucking all hooked up to the fungal fucking net, dude.
Oh, you're out. You're funged on up. You're fung.
That's just new, by the way. I don't know if you talked about that. That fungal fucking net shit. They did that because they don't have spores.
Right.
They joked about there isn't going to be spores in it.
So that was the replacement for the spores. Sorry, you're a little closer up than usual.
Or it's all just a big fucking fake out because we are going to get fucking spores.
What they've said about the spore thing, what I've heard is it's no spores in season 1. They haven't said anything about future seasons with spores or something. They've just said no spores after season 1. So Joe, coming after the first episode that I know you were feeling a great deal, how are you feeling it coming after episode 2? Are you feeling it just as much?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yes.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's so much like watching the live action game.
You're gonna say The Walking Dead. This is so much
I know
like
watching the live action game. Like you're watching the cinematics come to life again and slightly different. It's good. I like it. I like it a lot. I would have liked it a whole shitload better if HBO didn't suck.
Oh, about getting your episode
Max.
About getting your episode to it's going to be just Max soon. About getting your episode to play when it was supposed to play. I mean,
not only just play when it's supposed to play, but play without stopping every 10-15 seconds to
buffer.
Yeah.
Oh. So Joe, the one question I have just off the top, because I don't know why I was thinking about it in this episode, and I'm interested to see what they're doing with it. Again, I'm trying to point out when the gameplay was. What are they filling in the gameplay parts? Is it just the moments when they were like sneaking around, when they were like crossing the roof, things like that?
Okay, so really gameplay parts. So it starts, they wake up, they have a little bit of a conversation, and then they go trekking. They get into the hotel. That hotel looks exactly like the hotel in the game. Like, no fucking shit. Right down to like the counter where she sees the little skeleton. Then when Tess kind of breaks off and goes to find a route through, like, that's very similar to the game, not exact, but extremely similar. Then in the museum, uh, yes, very much, very much a scene right out of the game. Crossing the plank, roof to roof, that's gameplay. You actually like walk across the plank right after the cutscenes. State House is a little different, just a little different, but ultimately same. It like when I say a little different, it's Fedra shows up. Ellie makes a comment. Did Fedra do this? No, it was they did it to each other. It was infected, and then infected show up on them. But in the game, Fedra does do it, and Fedra shows back up, and she holds them off at the door.
And that's how. Did you?
But she's also bit too, and has that same conversation with Joel.
With
like
Joel,
almost word for word.
Do you prefer her show death, or do you prefer her game death, or you like the change up? Like you enjoy the fact that they're changing things up.
Well, you get something a little different with the walker coming up to make out with her. The walker, the runner. They're runners.
I'm calling them walkers too until like obviously we have a name. We have the clicker thing. We're gonna get into the clicker thing.
Those were clickers. The clickers with the weird fucking heads, but these pre-clicker, they're runners. Like they're yeah.
Bran is the fungus.
So that was a little different, but I did like the explosion was nice. Like sure.
It was a little cliche with the lighter not lighting and lighting like that.
Of course.
That was a little TV.
Super trope, right?
There was tropey, but it was still entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and one of the little differences here is this starts a chase sequence where Fedra is then chasing Joel and Ellie and searching nearby buildings, and you have to kill a bunch of them.
So right now, Fedra's not actually after them, and
right, and like when they leave that building, they have to like run across the street and into a sewer tunnel or subway tunnel, and then there's a big fucking subway scene.
I'm thinking that this is a kind of the Super Mario Brothers movie is a prequel, or this is because the king turns into a fungus. Oh no, it's whatever. Steph Snow says in the live chat, I want a Red Dead Redemption 2 game series. I bet you will see that, especially if
that's every Western ever.
Especially if the Ragnarok series.
That's every Western ever, a Redemption.
You could see. I mean, the Unforgiven. Just pick a Clint Eastwood movie.
Pick a Western.
Yeah. It's not Young
Guns.
Watch
them all, and then like. There you go. You got Red Dead Redemption. If you just watch all the Westerns, there you go.
You're such a douche. Okay, Maud Mary says Bran is a fun guy. Luna says those buildings leaning looked crazy dangerous even without the infected being inside. Game death was better to me, Sonic says, but I still enjoy show Tess's death. I call them the fun guys. Anyone else missing Tess holding her hands to Joel expressing herself? Asks Lux. And thank you so much for the super chat donation, Lux. Very much appreciate that.
Joel holding what? Who?
Lux asks, anyone else miss Tess holding her hands to Joel expressing herself? I'm not sure. I don't know. Joe, do you know what Lux is trying to say?
Nope.
Okay, but Lux says they missed it. Loner says, I'd like to think that Neil Druckmann thought that he did not want to show people to compare the game to this show and look at it on its own. I'm calling them zombies in The Last of Us. The Last of Us Toad from now on. Now you straight capping test shows trash. The Mushroom Connection is the Smurfs master plan by Duran. We get the chat is making some serious informational guesses and assumptions in there tonight.
So Gargamel was a good guy trying to save the world.
Yes, he was trying to rid the fungi of the Smurfs, Joe. I think our chat has figured out
The
the
Smurfs were responsible for the Cordyceps crossover. And
Smurf master plan, Joe.
it's because of Gargamel eating the Smurfs that we got the Cordyceps.
The kiss was a wild, horrifying moment. I don't care if
So was she compelled to do it because the fungus was already in her and hitting her brain?
okay, that's a question I have for you. If when the fungi controlled creatures know that you're controlled by the fungi too, will they not eat you?
Well, see, and that's what it was. It looked like they were just transferring the fungus into the bodies.
Right, they recognized that she was already almost there, so they just
Well, if it can communicate somehow through its spore, if it's using spores to communicate with itself and not to infect, right?
yeah. This also, as Jackie C, this
So-
also makes Bowser the good guy in Super Mario Brothers, trying to kill those mushroom chugging plumber assholes.
So if they're using the spores as a communication thing, then yes. And we saw that poster in episode 1 when the little boy, and we kind of forgot to talk about the little boy last week.
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
walks up on Boston, and then it's all this. It's this basically, Schindler's List scene, girl in the red coat. We see him again in another scene with a hood over his head. We see his shoes, so we know it's the little boy. And Joel throws him into the fire, right? When he first walks up on Boston, and the 2 guards pick him up off the ground and give him the little red light test. We see a poster on the wall, and it says like a neck bite is 10-15 minutes it takes, or less. It might even say or less. An arm is like 6 hours, and a leg is.
So she was on
like
her way
12
out
hours to 24.
So she was on her way out very, very soon.
So yeah, and they had a good 10 more minute walk from the museum to the courthouse, plus her blood is pumping or whatever, so maybe it moved a little extra fast. Who the fuck knows? I don't know how much faster your blood can pump when you're already getting attacked by fucking monsters and shit.
Good point, Joe. Luck says, Joe, I'm talking about when Tess said, look, there's enough here that you have to feel some sort of obligation to me. So it was maybe a connective moment that they had before.
Yeah, I never asked you for nothing. Yeah, that's all kind of straight from the game. Like, I think it's almost word for word.
I think they were saying that there was a line that they missed. We got another question for Joe. Joe, what did you think about the Jakarta? See the Jakarta. Look at Luna's question in the chat, Joe.
Luna. How far back is Luna? Joe, what did you think about the Jakarta scenes? Okay, that's the Philippines. That's the opening.
Okay, the opening. Yeah, we can get to that. We can talk about that now.
I think it's fucking awesome. I hope they continue to do this with flashbacks for all their fucking cold openings.
So that was all new.
We get last week on whatever, and then like, boom, this shit from either before the 1960 it was last week. This week it was Jakarta. That shit was awesome. That was all new. We don't get any kind of backstory like that. The only backstory we get in The Last of Us is basically the news clip opening, mashed together, and then Joel and his daughter, and that's it for like pre-outbreak, and that's not even really pre-outbreak, right? So this is cool. You get to see the scientist. She's she thinks she's getting arrested by the fucking government.
Dude, that was a really cool scene. We're gonna break it down in the recap, but it was really cool, and to see the horrifying.
No, she was. Yeah, no. What do we do now?
Bomb.
We all fucking die.
Yeah,
kill us all, or we're gonna kill the world. Basically, she saw.
And you can't do it quick enough.
I saw that interview on fucking Johnny Carson back in the '60s.
Oh well,
or fucking Ed Sullivan or whatever the fuck show he was.
Oh no, this is later. This is not.
No, I know. She's saying I saw the reruns of that show.
Oh yeah,
in college.
Yep.
I
did not know that. I did not know. It was fucking evil. And I mentioned this earlier. 2 quick things that I mentioned before you joined us, Joe. The actress that played Tess was in one of my favorite series of all time, Mindhunters on Netflix for 2 seasons. She played the psychiatrist that joined the
she
group.
did.
I didn't place it last week, but
That's right. She was on Mindhunters.
Yep, it was she's like a star. She's one of the stars of Mindhunters, one of the 3 leads. And she killed it on that show and totally transformed to the point where I didn't recognize her last week. It wasn't till the kiss part where I got like a close up of her face, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking what's her name from Mindhunters. And this episode was directed by the game creator and the game director. This is the first TV episode directed by Neil Druckmann himself. Directed this particular episode, and it was written by the guy, the co-writer who's basically writing the rest of the season. The guy that worked on Chernobyl, which the funny thing about, I was reading a little bit about how they started to work together. The guy who made Chernobyl, I'm blanking on his name, the other show creator. He was a fan of the game. He had played the game. He says, I played it like 14 times. And then Neil Druckmann was a fan of the series, and they like mixed through other people, got in contact with each other, and were like, oh shit, I like your shit. Oh, I like your shit. Let's make this shit together. So Slim says, I think the fungus made her submit to what ultimately happened, but her mind was completely gone. Yeah, I think at that point,
so too.
She just had no choice but to submit.
Yep.
And yes, Maddie, that is amazing. Sarah is Thandai Newton's daughter, and David, who's in the live chat right now, Fandom D Saint, said last week, I don't know you, because I didn't realize it was her daughter. He said, because I was like, she looks familiar, and David's like, oh yeah, she looks like exactly like Thandai Newton. And Joe's like, oh yeah, Thandai. We started to talk about Gridlock for a second, and it's actually her daughter. So yes,
it is Thandai Newton's daughter.
Yeah, it does look exactly like if you see them next to each other, they literally look exactly the fuck alike.
They do look exactly alike.
So good call on Fandom D Saint who pulled that shit up. There's actually,
she did a great job.
She did,
best kid actor to come out of a actor family in a long time.
Yeah, yay nepotism on that. Dude, yay nepotism on that one. The other one is Jack Quaid. The other one is Jack Quaid, Huey from The Boys. I'll take.
Okay, but did he act as a child?
I don't think. I'm
or
not
did
sure
he,
when
like, wait until he was like in his 20s.
I'm not sure. I haven't done the research on him, but he's awesome and I like him.
He is good. He is really good.
He also does the voices. He also does voices on Lower Decks. And
Jack Tripper's kid's not bad either.
Yeah, he's pretty funny too. There's a few of them that are like, okay.
Which one of Jack Tripper's kids too?
He's got a few of them. There's a show about that. Okay, Atari Dad says there's actually a bit of foreshadowing about the outbreak in one of the Uncharted games too. That's more of an Easter egg than anything else. Maud Mary says,
well, they put a Easter egg in this too, in The Last of Us Part 2.
So is it a connected universe with the Uncharted?
No, it's not supposed to be, but they know there's. You know, if you like Naughty Dog, you're playing the game.
It's like in The Walking Dead when they had Merle have blue meth. They just wanted to. It's not really in the Breaking Bad world, but it was just sort of like a shout out because they're both on AMC, so they made this meth blue.
Right.
In the first season of.
Right.
And let's see. The programming in the first episode was so obviously global warming, fear, invisible enemy, fear thy neighbor, take the jab, don't about the rope, here's pale host rider. So we get our first sign of the clickers, and this was something that's new to me watching the show, and you've mentioned it.
It's our second sign of the clickers.
Right, we see it at the end of the last episode for a half a second up on the
top of the roof, doing his Batman signal or some shit.
So. This is just me asking you. So depending on the kind of strain of fungus, the person becomes a different kind of zombie?
No. So basically, they don't really explain it in the game either because there's no one around to explain the shit, right?
Right.
You're basically like, I mean, you have 20 years of it's this, it's that, it's this and that as Joel, and then like we don't get any of it because it's just fast forward 20 years, right? You hear him say a bunch of times, oh, how many times have we heard, a cure, a vaccine, a this, a that, a safe haven. So you never really know, but it's possible. They kind of explain it in this episode, right? You see the field of them outside of one of the buildings they're overlooking from the museum rooftop, or from whatever building they started out in. They're looking down. No, from the hotel rooftop, and they're looking down at all the fucking
Spores.
runners,
Yeah, the runners.
the horde of them, right, laying on the ground, rolling around with each other. And she kind of says, what happens is the fungus grows in the ground too, right? So any of these that fall on the ground and don't move, that fungus keeps growing and ends up growing in the ground. It kind of locks the person to the ground or to the wall. Now, what they fall or they sit or they get knocked over or they're just on the ground and they're waiting to hear anything or for any sounds or movements so that they can go, infect someone. But if nothing comes around, it grows into it, like it
So
said, it
they're
grows
all
into the
connected
ground,
to like a
and it
mushroom
can
net.
die. It can dry out in the sun and shit. Yeah, like a regular mushroom and shit.
Okay, so when Joel and Tess were talking, when they were talking about the dryness, before they went into the museum, they were like, "Oh, this place might have dried out," and they were thinking that the mushrooms had already dried out. And when he was talking to Ellie about how long they last, some only last a few months and then eventually sort of
Right. If they
wilt
manage
out.
to stay on their feet and keep walking and keep moving
And
and shit
some
like
last
that,
20 years or something like that.
right? It won't root into the ground.
So there's
But if something
several.
happens,
So what's the difference
it's an
between.
evolution. It's an evolutionary, not necessarily evolutionary process, but it's like when you're born, you can't walk, but eventually you can walk, and then you can't walk anymore, right? Because you're too fucking old and decrepit.
I'm
Like it's
getting
the
there,
same thing
Joe.
with the fungus. Like the fungus is born, it can run around and
So
do all this
so
crazy shit. Eventually, it can't.
what
And it
dictates if they're so far we've seen three kinds of zombies in this show. We've seen the runners, we've seen the big fat ones, and
well, we haven't seen the big fat one yet. We just saw the preview of the big fat one, right?
okay. I know about the big fat ones too.
You know about the big fat one that climbs out of the hole, but like,
Yeah,
let's not go there yet. So
and
far,
so
we
we've
only
seen
know about
runners and clickers.
we only know about runners and clickers, and then we also see the ones that are like completely like uh grown into the walls or to the ground and shit like that. Like she steps on one. We see one last episode that's kind of grown onto the wall. All this, right? And so what she also says is when you step on these things, if they're not completely dried out, it'll send an
Right, it
impulse
sends it's
throughout its whole
so
fucking
there's
network.
so there's a like the Borg now. So
No, it's like when you get so a fungus is one organism, right? It spreads for miles. So when you get pricked on your finger, right, your brain says ow.
Yeah, and it sends the
Same
stimuli all
thing.
the way through. No, and I wasn't joking before, and I didn't mean it as a bad thing. It's very similar to the Super Mario Brothers movie with the giant fungus that surrounds the Mushroom Kingdom, that the king turns into, that Koopa turns him into a giant fungus. That this one part of us. Pale Host Rider, thank you so much for the super chat donation. Much appreciated. Huge love to you, buddy. Let me take a
But then on top of that, when it gets alerted, there's got to be something more that alerts each
individual one.
because those aren't connected through.
Those runners were all connected because they were all laid down, connected to that particular whatever, like a line.
Possibly they were connected somehow at that moment, so they were alerted.
Resistance is futile.
But once
Joe.
they get up and run, they're no longer connected that way. So if it's just everything in the area or everything touching this particular fungus, that's one thing. But I think that they might end up using like spores as a communication.
I think
like it can feel the prick in its finger, so to speak, and let out spores in its toe to tell everybody all the way on that side of the city,
I mean, we
get
will
the fuck
see.
over to there.
We will see if we eventually do get the spores. We got the Walking David in the live motherfucking chat, and someone says Phil, according to IMDb. Oh yeah, Kurt Russell's kid's pretty good too. According to IMDb, The Hunger Games is Jack Quaid's first role at the age of 20, and Jack Quaid was on Red Letter Media, and he was awesome doing a Best of the Worst episode. So like Jack Quaid is just, and he's on The Boys, and he does Lower Decks, and he does a lot of other awesome voice work. I love Jack Quaid. Nepotism is all right if they have talent. So clickers and bloaters is what eventually happens to the runners after long periods of time. Okay, so that's the case. So at a certain point in time, they all start off as runners, and then
yes, you start off as a runner, you turn into a clicker,
and then eventually you're a bloater before you
we're not going to get into
right. We don't have to get into much more
because I don't want to spoil, but let's not get into any other evolutionary processes of this fungus until we see them.
Maud Mary has a question. Joe Dirtylocks, why aren't the animals infected? That frog was playing the piano just fine.
Well, same reason why it takes a lot for shit to jump into different species. They kind of talked about this, right? So like it just because it can jump into humans doesn't necessarily mean that it can jump into, deer or frogs or anything else. The one that this is based on only affects ants.
Yeah.
Right? Or it might affect one other.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure it's just ants that it infects. There's one that does wasps too, or some shit like that.
Joe, it's actually really awesome. I obviously didn't know that those two intro sections weren't in the game in any way, but both of them, because of the information that we got in there, told me everything I needed to know. Because of the last episode with the ants and all that kind of stuff, going into the next scene, I started to not follow the technobabble, but then I immediately realized what they were saying to her is this thing that only exists in the ants is existing with a human. And she's like, what? Wait, what's going on?
No, I don't believe you. And she goes in and she fucking opens the lid up. Like, what?
And she's like, get me the fuck out of here.
And tell me you weren't like, what the fuck are you doing sticking your fingers in his mouth?
Dude,
get your fingers out of his mouth.
I did not think that was going to end as well. I know it ends with her dying in a bomb with hugging her family, but
most likely, unless they were like, no, I'm sorry, you can get your family, but we're not going to kill you in the bomb.
No, I mean, she would kill herself. She was
straight up, nope, we're done.
Yeah, we
are done here. Our time has come.
Exactly. I have been too close to it. I wouldn't trust me. Joe, we do have a voicemail, and anyone else that wants to call on in, you can. 781-990-8509. Again, that's 781-990-8509. If I miss your comment in the live motherfucking chat, you can also text that number, 781-990-8509. Here we go. Area code 773.
Dillerton, it is I just saw the episode and I made a prediction that how something was going to be happening in the first 10 minutes, and I was so glad to be wrong. As fun as it was to watch the second episode, I was just making predictions and I was like wrong halfway through the time. Oh man, I had a feeling Tess was going to die this episode. But this Tess's death took me in a completely different turn. The kiss of death or the kiss of death. Take your pick. I'm just scattered from this episode, but it's still another great episode.
So that's the thing, and we've talked about this before. It's like the Invincible thing, and they just announced like. I'm not going to talk about this because I'm just so eager about it that we have two announcements quickly. Last season of Cobra Kai is coming. I know Joe didn't like the last season, but we're in the final season.
No, I like it.
The final season we're going to talk about, and maybe that might be the final time I get Joe to actually come over here and we'll do a live stream of the final episodes of Cobra Kai. But also there is more information that has been announced this week too that I'm blanking on, but I'll get on that in a second. But yeah, I mean, this episode did I definitely liked it, but I understand it blowing some people's minds because what I was going to talk about is Invincible, a show that switches things up from the source material in good, interesting ways. They announced that the next season is coming at the end of 2023. They did this whole big trailer where they're like, oh, where is it coming? It hasn't come in so long. Where is it coming? And they're like, it's coming at the end of 2023. It's like, fuck, you bastards. But it is coming. So I think I like, even though I haven't played the game, I like that they're changing enough things similar to The Walking Dead when it was good, or Invincible or The Boys, where they change things in a interesting way just to goose people like you, Joe. You know, surprise you, throw you for a little bit of a loop in certain situations.
So I haven't felt looped.
You haven't felt looped yet? Not even with...
No. This so far, like when I was worried, like they kept saying like, you know, it's really close to the game. It's really close to the game. It really is. They weren't lying. It's really close to the game. Like the little things they change don't make me, as somebody who's played the game a bunch of times, go, oh wow, that was a surprising change. It's more like, ooh,
that's an interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting new take.
Okay, all right.
So we're gonna get to
that works. Like, okay, like, it's more like that. It's like, it's more intrigue as to what the changes are. Like, can I spot the changes than like surprise at it?
Speaking of things that worked or didn't work, we're gonna talk about something in a second here before we get into our recap. But I do want to get to our super chat donator, Luna, who says, since the runners or clickers tend to dwell in dark, moist places, why not stay outside in the sun unless absolutely necessary? Is that the secret, getting to like Arizona or Vegas heat?
No, because I mean, they don't like the sun, but like you saw them, they were still bleeding. They still have plenty of moisture in them. It takes a long time for them to dry up like that. Like it's not like they just hit the sun and they're vampires. You saw them all. They were all out laying in the middle of the fucking street. Like, that sun gets hot.
Maud Mary says, I felt like Tess and Joel wanted to kiss goodbye but couldn't. Instead, she got the zombie kiss.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, is the moving tentacle fungus.
Oh, the thing coming out of the
like, it just seems a little bit more alien-y than fungusy. Like that it's tentacly, or it's trying to, like, it doesn't feel like it's growing. It feels like it's moving
and moving. It feels
right. Like
it feels
you'll
like
see a fungus do that.
It feels like something that Khan would put in Chekhov's ear.
Yeah, more than just a fungus, right? Yeah. Like,
no, I hear you.
I mean, I understand why they did it, but like, they didn't have to make it like wag back and forth.
Right. You know, if you're being nitpicky, it's you're not the biggest fan of the stylistic choice on that one. Igor's on
that one. But yeah, and that's just me being nitpicky. I look past it because like it is what it is. Like,
it is.
I have to forget that I know that it wasn't.
Right. They need to change it for a different format, or they felt like they needed to change it for a different format. Igor says change things up, but they haven't fucked anything up.
Correct.
The boys had to make changes, otherwise it would be a series of shocking subplots with a loose connection. Tiredet says, look at how the fungus grows in nature. You'd be surprised at how creepy it looks in real life. John Haymaker, living in a desert would be a good way to avoid fungus. We got the wonderful, amazing Jackie in the live motherfucking chat. We got Apulia. It's a pretty creepy series. The last scene left me feeling very uneasy. Me as well. This whole episode had me feeling uneasy and on edge because I didn't know what was to come. I mean, I obviously knew two things. We got a couple of voicemails we'll get to in a moment here, but I do want to give...
What did you know?
What did I know? I know that Ellie and Joel make it through this episode. And
So you knew Tessa wasn't making it?
No, I did not. I just knew that both of them had plot armor. For now, anyway.
Well, yes, because you know that this, and you know that they're obviously talked about heavily over the last 2 years.
Yes. We don't. Yes, we don't have to talk about that, but like I know certain stuff. And please no spoilers in the live chat. So I know a couple of things about a couple of things. I did not know Tess was going to die in this episode, and that surprised me.
Did it break the internet yet?
I don't think it broke the internet, but
like, are people in the chat that hadn't played the game? Were they?
I don't know.
Were they upset? Like Ned Stark upset?
I don't know, Joe, because this is the thing about this show right now. Even though it had the 5 million viewers and it had the second most watched since Boardwalk or
the most since Boardwalk.
It was House of the Dragon was number 1. This is number 2.
And House of the second most since Boardwalk.
Are most of those people that have played the game? Because it's also a very popular game. And the majority of the people watching this show, I got to end the poll and do a different poll, or do this one next week. The people watching, how many of you have played the game, and how many are you watching this?
I know 3 people who have not played the game who are watching the show.
Counting me?
Counting you, correct. I know. Well, Katie hasn't played the game, but she watched.
Yeah, she watched you play the whole fucking game multiple times. She doesn't count.
She watched, like, when I first played through, like, she wanted to be there. She's very upset that she works, and, like, she got home.
Yeah, she's getting home from work at this time. At this time, yeah. So she's waiting for you to be done so she can watch the fucking episode.
Yep.
So Block will be like, la 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 la. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Fandom say, I played the game so many times and still loving it. Says Fandom. Yes, I played it. I would move to a small desert, Mojave Desert. I can't
wait for the multiplayer to come out. So fucking bad. I can't wait to see what they have.
Now, here's a direct question for us, Joe and Phil. If you were in Joel's shoes, would you take Ellie back home or continue the journey? At this point, you got to continue the journey. Sunk cost fallacy.
So that's the thing. That's like
you're in it at this point.
In the game, like without Tess dying in that moment, or if Tess dies in the museum, it doesn't get the chance to have that little speech with Joel in the State House, the Capitol building, right? Under the Gold Dome. Joel does not bring Tess. Joel sees that bite on Tess's on Ellie's arm, and he shoots her. Shoots her right there in the fucking street.
In the back of the head. Okay, Joe, we talked a little about TBA or TBD on Ellie. She kind of won me over in this episode. I thought she was like, I don't have the other character to compare her to, but I thought Bella Ramsey swore very effectively. If the character of Ellie is supposed to say the word fuck every other word, she effectively did that. She swore more than fucking Negan did.
And it's how you use your swears, though.
And I thought she used it pretty damn fucking well in this episode. And she kind of won me over in this as a potential lead of this show, or a co-lead with Pedro. And they have good chemistry. They have a good back and forth. And I like her personality. Has she won you over on quite yet? I know you liked her in the last episode, but weren't quite sure yet. How did you?
Yeah, I'm all in. She's Ellie as far as I'm concerned. This episode, I didn't see any moments of like, really, that's horrible fucking acting like I thought of in that hallway scene with her.
She was awesome in this episode, yeah.
But like I said, that could have been she was trying to be smarter than or trying to not appear.
Yes.
She could have been pretending a certain way.
Playing a little possum.
Right.
Mental possum.
So there's that. So no, but I didn't see anything like that in this episode. I liked it.
Yeah.
I like her.
So me too. She and again, I wasn't not feeling her last week. I was saying I need to see more because the episode was much more focused on Joel and Sarah
and everybody else.
And even Tess to a certain extent. Tess got a little bit more in this episode, but this episode was, you saw things from Ellie's perspective. You were with her in this episode, watching the two of them from the moment she woke up, like she's waking up taking some mushrooms and waking up in a trip, and she like looks and she sees them watching over her, pointing a gun at her. And she's like, "Hey, what's up, fuckers?" You know, it's she came swinging in this episode as an actress and kind of won it and took control of the stick, so to speak. Let's get into the live chat a little bit. Walking David says he still hasn't played the game. We're going to see David in the live chat. Apulia says, I haven't played the game. Upset, but not Ned Stark upset. We didn't get to know Tess well enough. It was the circumstances that creeped me up. Jackie says, Bella is Ellie. People showing your kitty some love, Joe. Slim says that Ned Stark outrage won't happen yet. Joe, who is your co-host, the kitty cat, that's Joe's Mistachia. The saddest letter in the game. Okay, we'll do that. That's how I started twitching. Okay, let's listen to a couple of our voicemails before we get into our recap. This is from Jay.
Hey Joe, is this the best adaptation for a video game to a live action format? Does this surpass the ultimate Mortal Kombat or whatever? All right, later.
Yes.
Yeah.
So far, like Mortal Kombat, we had what was it, 2 hour and a half to maybe 2 hours.
I mean, there's a bunch of Mortal Kombat movies.
Right. He's talking about the last
the
one,
most
the HBO
recent
one,
yeah,
the most recent one, which was the best of them in my opinion. But as far as I'm concerned, like it's still a Mortal Kombat movie. I mean, people will look at this and say it's still just a zombie show. However, I happen to think so far what I've seen, yes, it is. And it really shouldn't have been that hard for them to do, seeing as how cinematic the game is and how closely they're playing the
close to the vest that they're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this a lot, and we'll keep talking about this all season as we compare this to other things. I think there's a handful of stuff that can be argued as decent content based on video games that have broken out of the norm.
Yes.
Some of them are Witcher, the Castlevania series. Some could argue the Sonic the Hedgehog movie was a good representation.
I say you got to stay away from anything that's animated.
Too cartoony.
And I say that just because, and I know with the way you can do shit on green screen now and digital and CGI and all this shit, like all added together, most movies are fucking cartoons in their own right.
Yeah, they're half. Half the Marvel movies are half cartoons, so.
Right? Like so, but like. It is a different medium, and it is not the same to compare any kind of.
No, I hear you. It's
really animated, unless it's animated, and there's some animations that are animated. Titan AE is animated to be, almost not animated.
So really, it comes down to this in The Witcher. Joe, I like your cat's name. Mine is Tywin. And let's get into the live chat. Naya says, I honestly hate the way they killed off Tess. I also hate how she got bitten. It was nothing like it was supposed to go. Did Joe notice that Tess has the same gun as Joel in the game Compact 1911? Maud Mary says, I think Bella did better this episode, but she needs less smart assness and more heart. And
you'll get a little bit of that as we go along, but for the most part, you're going to get
why is that? Smart assness. Yeah. Slim says, this is 100% the best video game adaptation ever. They clearly want to stay as close to the game as they possibly can, and the changes they made have been done well. Atari Dad says, animation is easier medium for video game adaptations for sure. It just kind of fits into it.
They didn't kill off Tess. I honestly hated the way they killed off Tess. I also hated how she got bitten. It was nothing. I mean, it kind of was. We had that fight in the museum, and at the end of that fight, she's at one point when we go through a doorway, she gets grabbed by a clicker, and Joel and Ellie beat the clicker off her, and then you fight like a few more. You clear out that little museum area, and you get to State House, and she says, I'm not going any further. She tells you she's been bit, and that's when you find out. The only difference in the way she dies is, like I said, like that's all pretty much exactly as it happens off screen. You don't even really get to see the bite. You just see her kind of lock up with the walker for a second. Ellie doesn't get bit in that moment in the museum, just Tess. So she doesn't have a fresh wound to show Joel.
And
just
yeah,
the
and
old
there's
wound.
no three card trick like by distracting you to look at Ellie's wound. Phantom D Saint makes a good point, or not gonna lie, I didn't feel anything for Tess's death right there. Peggy says like that they recreated the switching from sneaking to combat back to sneaking like the games with the clickers.
Yes, that was super good. Good call. That was super important. And Joel even does a thing where he causes a noise distraction so he can hide. Like he gets around a corner and he kicks over a little bust and it breaks a window and he jumps around another thing, right? So he has a couple of seconds to reload his gun. That is like all of that sneaking, that walking. They don't see us; they can only hear us. That's
Yeah,
why
that
we're
seemed
using
like
clicking sound.
I made note of that in the recap, and I think that I thought that was gameplay part. And Atari Dad, I think I agree with you. Sorry, man. Sorry, guys, but nothing beats Raul Julia as M. Bison. Of course. I mean, that movie for what it is complete trash, but I love it. That's a guilty pleasure. That's what we were talking about last week. That's objectively for me. I enjoy that movie, but that's a horrible fucking movie. But it is a fun movie, but it's bad. Let's continue. We're 100% the best adaptation. Animation is easier. Castlevania was really good. I actually really liked it. What video game would you like to see an HBO show of? I mean, if HBO is going to do something like another video game show besides The Last of Us. The Sims, that would be fun. Metroid. I'd love to see. I was talking a little bit about this with Tony. I would love to see a Metroid series, like a bounty hunter, a science fiction bounty hunter series on HBO with the HBO style and budget, putting together a Metroid series.
That's one that I'd have to think about for a few minutes.
Yeah, think about it. Of what are some other video game series? Is there any of the Telltale games you'd like to see a series of?
Wolf Among Us,
yeah,
was fantastic.
Wolf Among Us would be a good series if it was done right. It definitely would. Anyways, great to see. In my opinion, the only unforgettable Street Fighter movie was a lot to do with that. But there was a great animated Street Fighter movie too. Again, it's the best trash. I love it. I'm already at a place where
I'm pretty much there too. Like
Yep.
any worry or doubt, Maddie, I had about Pedro filling this role was pretty much done last week, but was completely washed away this week. It's going to be tough for me, I think, after another episode or two, especially if I don't like put on the game. After another episode or two, when I go back to the game, it's going to be hard to watch Troy's
you know they're gonna release
Joel.
You know they're gonna release a Pedro skin for like a new they're gonna make money off this. There's gonna be the get the Bella and Pedro skins.
Pedro skins. Pedro is fantastic in the role, and he has embodied Joel perfectly.
Mad Sinister says Sims would be X-rated if HBO got it. Yeah,
yes.
We would need a lot of sex position in that show. You're right. Matt. Let's just do a couple of voicemails. Joe, this is area code 916.
Good evening. This is the voice at 916. You look good, Phil. You must be feeling a lot better. Hi, Joe. I think I'm probably the minority in this.
It's like, Joe, you don't look good, though.
Hi.
But Bella Ramsey was kind of a little disappointing to me as in the role of Ellie. We discussed it over on Tony Teflon's channel as to whether she could actually
Make sure you're subscribed to Teflon TV. Does a great pre-show for this, and I'll be joining him on Tuesday evening, I believe, talking about this episode.
Carry the role. And so I was watching a little bit more carefully. She just doesn't seem to emote, either with her voice or her face. Her face always seems to express the same emotion regardless of whatever she's saying. And I've seen outtakes from the game, so
I love this voice.
I kind of see the character in the game, Ellie's character in the game, and she emotes and expresses and acts much more convincingly. I just wasn't convinced with Bella, which was kind of sad, because the episode story was very, very good. Tess was awesome. But, yeah, so sorry, but I guess that's...
Oh, don't be sorry.
I feel a little bit differently with the character of Ellie, played by Bella Ramsey. Well, thank you, and have a good night.
Well, first off, thank you so much for giving me the warm, fuzzy feelings. You should start an ASMR channel. We've talked about this before. Like a radio show, smooth voice, beautiful. Thank you so much. But you don't have to apologize. I mean, that we do not live in an echo chamber here in the Issues program, and even if we agree or disagree, it's awesome to hear other people's perspectives, and it helps you look at things in different ways and challenge your opinions and shit. So thank you for, I don't agree, but thank you for having that opinion to offer the perspective.
Yeah, I don't know if it's her voice or not, Phil, but I don't want to yell at her for being wrong.
Don't you? Exactly.
No, and I'm just kidding. She's not. She's not wrong. I get that.
You, Joe.
I get that with a lot of actors out there. Like one of the ones I think, what the fuck was he? Ryan Gosling, I think, has a completely flat affect. I don't understand.
What are you talking about, Joe?
Like, no expression in any line delivered ever on screen by this man whatsoever, ever. Like, so I get that. I kind of feel like I was seeing it from her. And here's the thing. I would have absolutely been on board with you last week if you had said this. This week I felt different, but I've only watched it once, and I'm about to, when I'm done here, I'm going in the other room and I'm watching it again with Katie. It'll be her first viewing, and I'm going to keep my eye on her even more than I was. Like my stream started late, so I was really frustrated and upset. So then probably not as focused as I should have been, and then it kept cutting out every like minute and a half for like 10 or 15, 20 seconds. It would just dot, 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 dot on a black screen. So now that, all of America isn't streaming this, just it might be a little easier for me to get through.
No,
it.
you'll
Maybe I won't
definitely
be distracted. I'll keep a closer eye, and I'll get back to you 61061.
Holy shit, Joe. We have a celebrity in the live chat right now. We have the one and only Taco Bell. Like, the restaurant itself is in the live chat. Well,
yeah, right.
Please sponsor us, Taco Bell.
I love your Mexican pizza. Give me more.
Yeah. So we watched it.
Do not hold the fungus.
Taco Bell says we watched it in the employee lounge, and we haven't seen so much crap since we last cleaned the restroom. So they're talking about a little like Taco Bell ass that you get when you eat at Taco Bell. But we will happily accept your sponsorship. Here we go. Let's clear the voicemail lines before we get into our recap. This is area code 706.
Hey, Phil and Joe, it's Jackie.
Jakara's bitch.
Hi, Jackie.
Oh my god, I was having a nerdgasm watching this episode. The clickers, the way they move, and the art direction, and the construction, and the digital effects, and just everything, including the water and just little details.
Oh, the water was so fucking disgusting.
Gross. It was green algae.
It was so gross. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And the clickers. Holy fucking shit.
Now,
Okay, pause it here.
No, but back in my day, a clicker was what you used to change the TV channel. Back in my day, Joe.
So she brings up a good point here. The water scene in the hotel, the gross, the disgusting. I was actually paying attention to her very much. Area code 616061 voice. Like what was her?
The voice of 916.
The voice of 916. So in that moment, I thought she did a great job looking scared of getting in that water because she didn't know how to swim.
Yeah, that was a funny moment.
So and I thought I saw like an actual like I ain't getting in that fucking water look on her face.
It was I thought
like I've seen that look on Phil's face, on Nick's face, when like standing at the end of the pier at 2 a.m. and you can't see in that black water.
Oh, I'm not jumping in that
I
shit.
ain't jumping in
I'm
that
not jumping
shit.
in that shit.
Oh, when we're on the top of the fucking quarry, and my
I'll
friends are like, "I ain't jumping off this fucking quarry wall. What the fuck is the matter with you?" I've seen that look of fear in people's face, and I thought she did a pretty good job.
JS says a click is a lubricant in Sweden. John Haymaker's like, we use those clickers on the old radiation TVs way back in the day, and it was killing us inside, and we liked it.
Hey, it's okay, radiation. You're getting pounded by radiation. All the time.
Makes you strong, Joe. It's strong. It's strong radiation.
It's good for the bones.
Yeah, it's good. It's perfect for the bones, right? Eric, let's continue with Jackie's message.
Did that scare the living daylights out of me? That blows everything else in The Walking Dead out of the water.
What?
Oh my God.
Rewind it. The clicker? I forgot what she said scares her.
Yeah, I believe so. That was what it was.
Just the clickers.
Scare the living daylights out of me. That blows
the clicker. Yeah.
everything else in The Walking Dead out of the water.
Yep.
Oh my God. It blows the threat level of them. It felt so visceral. I felt it in my bones how scary they were and how dangerous it was where they were at.
Yeah.
And you really don't feel that in the game per se, because it's like, oh, I'll die, and just respawn, at this location, whatever. But this felt like, because they're actors and stuff, and they're real people, so it's just way different. Anyway, enough about that. Love you guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Awesome message as always, Jackie. Hey, if you guys see, Taco Bell says, hey, if you guys see Shane Davis, he didn't give us 2 weeks notice, and that's going to be hard. No Taco Bell recommendation for him. Thank you, Taco Bell. And we will definitely can be used as a forum for this kind of situation. It works. Joel just shining the flashlight, straight in the clicker's place was the best moment, says Peggy.
Yeah, that shit was great. Let's talk about these clickers for a second. The way they moved, fantastic. That even they're just slashing out with their hands, feeling around wherever, because they can't see exactly where the person might be. Great, they did a great job making me feel like I was watching the same clickers from the video game. Also, with these fucking clickers, can we take a minute and acknowledge how much fucking damage it takes to kill one of these things? So we saw body shots, gunshots, they got right up. We even saw an axe to the fucking head. They barely touch you with a knife in The Walking Dead, right? And the back of the head or anywhere in the head, little children with no muscles in their arms are able to go right through the fresh zombie skulls and shit. I don't know, weird. But these things, this fungus, that's growing, acts as like a shield, like a helmet, and protects the brain. And so it takes even more to fucking put him down. It does. So the axe didn't do it. He shot the fucking thing in the head twice before it went down. And then he put
that thing kept coming, Joe. That was like a Terminator situation.
Yeah. These things don't go down easy. They are fucking hard to kill in the game too. You do not want dude, stealth is your best fucking friend in that game. I'm telling you. You need the stealth that they used, the hiding behind closets, the crawling under the fucking chair that Ellie was doing, all of that. Yes, 100% of the fucking time. You want to be as quiet as fucking possible. They don't react to your flashlight. like he was putting it right in their face, and they weren't like,
I liked how he
like.
communicated that to Ellie too, almost like they can't see, they can hear you. The breath and all of that stuff was intense. And Jackie, it might have been because of the name change, and then it needed to update or something like that, possibly. Area code 773.
Like those fuckers are
guys,
hard
it's
to kill.
me again.
What was that, Joe?
They're hard to fucking kill. Like, they had to joke you like they had to take on 2 of them in that room in the museum. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
Now,
3 of them.
should one part of the episode just be Joel dying in the museum over and over again, like getting killed?
There's a bunch of fucking runners in that goddamn museum too.
Is that a gameplay part where you die over and over again the first time you play? So let's listen to 773. You did what? Oh, you were watching, Phil. Okay, here we go.
Hey guys, it's me again. This is a question I've been wondering forever, even before this HBO series was ever a thing. What is Tess to Joel? Is she a friend or a former lover or what? I can never figure it out. I'm assuming they are lovers at one point, but I don't know. Maybe they are just good friends or lovers or just really close family members or something. Hopefully I can get that answered. I've been wondering this forever, and I feel stupid asking this.
Don't feel stupid asking. I was just gonna say, like, especially don't feel stupid when I say it. I feel like I'm in middle school. So, Joe, does Tess like Joel? Does she like him, or does she like him?
Oh,
like him?
she likes him.
I think she likes him too.
She puts his name down as every name when she plays MASH.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. And when she's like Joel, I love Joe. When she gets her cigarette pack, she flips over the J. You remember that thing when they used to like flip over the cigarette for the name of the person you like? Remember that shit, Joe? People think that the flip cigarette is the ricin cigarette in Breaking Bad. I remember it as the name when looking in Jamie
or the Lucky.
Yeah, the Lucky. Yeah,
Lucky last cigarette.
Looking in Jamie's cigarette pack and going, did she pick P this time? Nope, she never picked P. Okay, but would she consider people in the live chat are cracking me up tonight? So are they're boyfriend girlfriend though? In this world, they're as good as boyfriend girl. All jokes aside to the caller, which thank you for the fuel.
They did a great job making the relationship exactly what you get in the game is what you get in this series. It leaves it a little bit ambiguous until the scene where they're in the courthouse and she's basically like, I never fucking asked you for nothing. I've always been, you need to do this for me. This is the one thing I'm telling you need to do for me. Like, no. You get the same feeling like, I'm pretty sure they were together as much as Joel can be with anybody after like, losing his daughter. Because you go straight from there to like them two going to kill fucking douchebag who ends up dying on his own there.
And Lux says they're together as much as Joel can emotionally give Tess, which isn't much. They sleep in the same bed. I mean, they're damaged people. Atari Dad says in the game it's a bit ambiguous, but in the show we see them in bed together. And we also, when Tess is kidnapped, the dude refers to her as her man.
Yeah, him as her man, and you get that too when she screams at Joel. Oh fuck! It was just there in my head. Never mind. I guess. They're broken people, right? And he's like, "Let's just go home," and she snaps back. This isn't my fucking home.
Yeah, she said that.
She's
tonight.
from Detroit, right? Yeah. Like she's not from Boston. You're not from fucking Boston. That's neither one of. But she doesn't say that's not our home. She says that's not my fucking home. He's saying let's go back to our home. This is where we've made a life together, kind of. But she's just as broken as fucking Joel. She had a whole life before this whole shit.
And I do want to thank everyone that's tuning in tonight to check this out. We really do appreciate all of you guys choosing us for your after show activities and your Sunday night fun. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and share this out to help even get more people in here. As we continue, we get a couple more voicemails, and then we're going to get into our recap of this episode. This is from Jay.
Just give you some perspective. I've never watched the show or played the game. I'm just watching your after show because I never miss your after shows. All right, later.
See that's the right answer. We love you. You're awesome, Jay. As always.
You should definitely do both, Jay. Like, I don't care which one you do first. Do it the way Phil's doing it, because I'm gonna make him play the game afterwards.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna do that. I'm thinking I'm going to have to make... Oh, absolutely, Walking David. That's going to be fun. What would Rick Grimes do in the world of The Last of Us? Check out the Walking David on TikTok to answer that question. And speaking of the Walking David, let's get the Walking David's voicemail of the night. The Walking David... I wish I had a theme song for David, but I'll come up with one at some point. Right now, I just have to play this shit. What song?
You should get the Benny Hill theme.
That would be a good song for David. I don't know why this song isn't playing right now. Why isn't it playing? I don't know. Whatever.
No, Benny Hill doesn't suit him.
No. I think I need something more intense. But anyways, here we go. Here's David's voicemail.
Hey, what's up, Phil and Joe?
Hey, David.
Your boys got COVID, but you know what? You made my night because I get to watch your recap and review.
Hope you feel
Just
better.
wanted to say that, once again, the production...
Hope you feel better, buddy. We're giving you your best.
...design of this show has really, won me over. I'm still waiting for Pedro Pascal to get a chance to really show us what he can do.
That's coming, dude.
He's had a couple of moments, but... just not quite a lot. A lot of it's...
No, it's coming.
It's coming.
That shit's coming, dude. Well, so I'm like...
We'll play the rest of your message,
dude, that shit's coming. I don't know what... I've been a little bit let down by some of the Joel action. Like, if you go play this game on easy, right? You run through dudes like a fucking like a champ superhero, right? Like, quick or not so hard to kill when you have unlimited bullets and lots of health and good shit like that. But when you play this shit on hard, man, you don't run through it quite like that. So but you die easy also. So I was a little bit like, I want to see what Joel can do, and I was very happy with what I saw, but we'll see what Joel is capable of. And that's been alluded to now in both episodes. Marlene says it in the fucking hallway. I know what the both of you are capable of. Bella Ramsey says, well, what are you capable of? And then when fucking Tessa's dying, after all the shit we've fucking done together, what have you done together? What kind of shit are you talking about here? We'll see. We're going to see what Joel can do. And I can't wait to see Pedro pull that shit off. And he's going to, dude, if the fucking snake shit was anything to the fucking viper shit was anything what we're gonna see from Joel's gonna be.
So
great.
I'm very excited to see that. And Jack says Pedro is excellent in Narcos. I fell in love with him again. And let's get back to the Walking David.
That's David music.
Here we go. It's time for more Walking David.
Subtle, kind of quiet, stoic acting. Fucking...
Oh, it won't let me do both at once? Oh, that's the problem, you fucking I can't do both at once.
Gary Cooper, the fucking strong, silent type. But, subtle, kind of quiet. It's not quite a lot. A lot of it's just been, subtle, kind of quiet, stoic acting. Fucking Gary Cooper, the fucking strong, silent type.
Nice, Tony.
But, and I haven't played the game. I've seen some of it, but, I think it's pretty good so far. I'm really curious where it's going to go from here. I love the whole fungus connected network where you step on it a mile away and it wakes up, zombies or the infected really far away. Like, I love that shit. I just think that's fantastic. It's super exciting because it just makes this world so much more dangerous than The Walking Dead. I mean, by far. Anyways, back to the show. Thanks, guys.
Now, whatever did happen to Gary Cooper, but do you know what didn't happen to Gary Cooper? He worried about it. He partied. He played. He did a... Wait, play the damn song, Miles. Recap! It's time for the recap of this episode, Joe. Let's break it down and talk about everything that happened. Get into this shit. There we go. So yeah, David, I'm sorry I couldn't play the music under you. I remember being able to do that before, but something's going on with the audio on that thing, so I think I can only play one thing at a time. Woo! I haven't ran in 3 weeks, so here we go. That was something. So... Oh, you want a bongo solo? Is it bongo solo time? No, we can't do bongos. It's too late, but we will do an impromptu spoon solo. Impromptu spoon solo, but it's a little late for bongos right now. But anyways... So we talked a little bit about this earlier, Joe, as we open up in this episode, and we're still taking voicemails all night. 781-990-8509. Keep the voicemails coming. Tony Soprano asked the same questions. Undead Caesar, Joe, have you played the remake? If so, is it better than the original?
No, I haven't played so I had the remastered version of the original.
Excuse me.
So the original came out for PS3, then they did a remaster for the PS4, and then they did another remake where they put the Unreal Engine to it for this new release for the computer and stuff. I have not played that version. I'm not interested in oh, that leaf looks better now. His skin tone is better now. Nope, I don't see to me, they didn't have to do that for it. And then I played number 2, which has that same engine work and all that stuff done. And that was a great game. I don't need to pay another $50
I just realized
the
the spoons could be triggering because of the clickers. It sounds like the... Yeah, there's clickers everywhere.
Yeah, you got clickers in there.
And I got some clickers in here. There's no spoons, just impromptu clicker solo. Exactly, Walking David. So we open up this episode in 2003, Indonesia, normal day. Soldiers come into a restaurant we talked a lot about this scene earlier. We don't have to break it down piece by piece, but basically this doctor, they don't necessarily even tell you everything. What I liked about this, and this was just top-notch filmmaking, because we got shown, not told, what was going on, and you could understand everything that was happening. There was a couple of lines like your doctor, but I didn't know that she said, I don't even know the kind of doctor that they mentioned or something.
Microbiologist.
Microbiologist. So she's the top microbiologist in Indonesia.
I think they said you work in the micrology department at the university.
Yeah.
Which is microbiology, I think, or the study of micrology, microbes.
Holy shit, we got Richie that hasn't been around since checking out our Vikings reviews, but it's great to still see us. It's great that you came back and checked us out again after all this time. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ow, my head hurts, but it was worth it.
Hit that vote in the poll and hit like, and
and
Tell
all
your
that
friends to
stuff.
subscribe still.
Please make sure you're subscribed so you can join us. We're gonna be here after every episode of this season, and maybe some impromptu sessions as well. We got the amazing, wonderful Carla Wayne in the live chat. Great to see you. Haven't seen the episodes, but just popping in to send some love. Hello, Carla. I don't know why I'm giving you a clicker solo from my heart to the wonderful Carla Wayne, who's hopefully you're having a great end of your vacation. Okay, so we open up and this doctor.
So you know what we're not going to get, Phil, in this?
What are we not?
We're not going to get HBO turn around and go, oh, quick, right in the next, in the third episode from this week, 3 episodes from now, we got to make a quick change where our survivors learn that they can use the spoons to distract the clickers and make them take their clickers so they can walk with them.
We would all be carrying these things around, Joe. We would all be doing it.
We're not going to get that like the AMC was doing. All right.
There we go. There's some that will scare the fucking clickers away. The silly log drum. Okay, so this we talked about this scene earlier, but she gets taken in to go look at a specimen. They tell her that this thing that's only in ants is within humans. They show us more of this than they actually tell us, but basically that's what she's like. It's in humans? How's that possible? The thing that connects to the scene we saw in the first episode connects back into this scene. This is all new, Joe. You mentioned this earlier. You love this shit, right? This is just adding more texture to your universe that you enjoy. And for me, this was needed to establish even more what this is and see these moments of when the first seeds are planted. I thought this was incredibly well done, and I felt so much horror in her eyes as she started to figure out what was going on. Was this patient zero? She's like, please you could just see the look on her face. Please let this be patient zero. Please tell me nobody else is there. Please tell me those ants in the live chat are the only things infected by this thing right now. But no. And she talks about being shot. This person, blah, blah, blah. As Joe mentioned, she puts her fingers in her mouth and pulls one of the spore things out. And how long did it happen? It happened 30 hours ago. And then they get into the numbers, and the soldier is just looking at her with this dumbass look on her face as they're like, oh, there's 14 missing people. We don't know who the initial perpetrator is.
She's just shaking. She is.
Yeah, Joe, we called you in here at this point. I dropped all this shit. I dropped a bunch of eggs and fucking booze and a glass bottle on my floor. And I walked.
Maybe you should have told me about all this shit before I was sticking my fingers in
That's what I'm saying.
mouth.
And I walked over it with my feet, and exactly. and help me, Obi-Wan. But exactly, she's like, oh, you fucking idiots here, and she's like, she just gives him this look like, dude, you're fucked. He's like, but I thought we think you're smart and stuff, and we were wondering if you could create a vaccine or a medicine or excuse me. And my throat's cracking as I'm saying this. And she just looks at him and goes, dude, you're fucked, kid. You're just fucked. Are you stupid? She's like, the only medicine is bomb everybody. Stop the spread now. Kill everybody right now. And I'm going to go home and hug my family while I die because you exposed me to this stupid shit.
And obviously, we see later on in the episode that she's not the only one that suggested this or thought this was the way to go.
Absolutely not. And we got another super chat donation from the wonderful, amazing Luna, who's also a channel member. Thank you so much, Luna, for the support you give. This kind of stuff allows me to keep doing this, so I really do appreciate it. Was the bombing suggested by the professor the best solution? What about the spores and the microbes spreading from the explosion, Joe? Joe, as we find out later in the episode, we're going to get to this, but we can talk about this now. We get a little bit more backstory from Tess. Again, I don't know if we get this in the game with her talking to Ellie, saying that the bombs happened and they worked, and didn't work in most places. It happened to work in Boston. That's why you're seeing a lot of people living in Boston. So, do you think this was the best suggestion? Like what are you doing if you're in charge of this situation? Lord and Savior, Joe's always right, Joe. How do you stop this shit?
Well, there.
Okay, President David Palmer.
When you can't really, it's such an unknown.
I broke
right?
Joe. I broke Joe with that question.
It's such an unknown that at this point, this scientist doesn't know that if there are spores or not from the fungus. We know from, like someone else in the chat said, from behind the scenes that there aren't any. So maybe that does work. It kills anything that's possibly infected in a so many mile radius, right? But how do you know this already isn't in other cities?
Yeah, how do you know you're not already screwed at this point in time?
Right. We saw one of the posters and on the wall. I brought it up earlier.
Right back.
That says, if you bit on the above the shoulders and the neck area and head area, you got like something like 10-15 minutes before you're a raging fucking zombie fungus thing runner. And on the torso it was a couple hours, and on the legs it was like 12 to 24 or something like that. So you don't know if it was someone that was bitten 12-16 hours ago in another city. You don't know if that person wasn't in a small village already with his family members and someone from there got bit, and that you don't know how far and wide spread this is. So a bombing necessarily isn't going to solve the problem. So I wouldn't be down on that yet. I would have to see a city really start to fall, and then it wouldn't just be about bombing the city. It would be about bombing around the city and then in the city. You would have to bomb so much more than just the city that I don't think that's necessarily the way.
Yeah, you'd have to almost do one of those science fiction bombs that just destroys all, like the Genesis bomb or you would need Genesis.
You'd have to burn the city, burn around the city, and then start a fire in the city, so the two fires meet up like you were trying to burn it out and burn everything in between.
Have you ever tried to get those mushrooms off your lawn that show up in those weird months? You can never do it.
The dog shit mushrooms?
Yeah, they're just there forever. Okay, so we open up the episode with Ellie laying down on the grass. She's noticing a butterfly. And then there's a really cool visual as the light hits her, and it's a really good, just a good television visual, as she looks around and Tess and Joel are watching her comically with a gun. And we get this back and forth with her. Do I look infected? Look, I'm not infected. And this is where we get to see a little bit more of her personality here. She needs to pee. She's swearing up a bunch. I got to fucking pee, back and forth. Tess and Joel have their back and forth about what to do with Ellie. Joel wants to ditch her. She's dead walking. And Tess is like, well, we might as well do this.
She hasn't turned yet.
And it doesn't even matter if she's the Neo of this particular universe. It doesn't fucking matter if she's the one.
We need the battery.
And if we deliver, we get the battery. So who gives a flying fuck burger? Let's just do it. Who cares? Right. And she's really kind of locked in. I think she's connecting with Ellie right here from the beginning in this episode. She's looking at her as a little mini badass that might fight a white giant in the north and yell King of the North. She's getting a cool vibe from her, and so she's wanting to kind of protect her a little bit. And we get the trailer visual of if she fine, we'll do this, but if she twitches, I'm gonna kill her. And then Ellie, she goes all twitchy and stuff, and then stop it. So Ellie asks for a gun. We say no, and they head out here into the Boston, whatever, the Calgary. But Boston stuff. Joel says we should keep moving. This is where we see the moon, where the bomb stuff. So we didn't get a lot of this like sort of conversational stuff during the game with Tess and Ellie, where we get backstory about the bombs. You didn't really get that in the game, Joe?
I think it was at some point in the game there's a mention of, like, every now and then you get to a checkpoint and Joel will get nostalgic. I remember when I was at a checkpoint like this when it first went down, or things like that, and he lets out a little bit about what happened, but not much. No, they might have said something about bombing cities. I don't want to say.
Do you nuke?
I don't want to say
nuke
yes,
the city?
But
Would you nuke the city? Someone in the live chat said, "Would
you have to?"
Yeah,
you can't just bomb it.
Yeah, it has to be.
Bombing the city isn't the end. Like I said, you have to all around. You have to start with around the city. Like I'm talking 10 miles out. You put down napalm, and by that point it's too late because someone got bit on the leg and they already drove 50 miles to a hospital they like better.
We're gonna get to
the bombing doesn't
yeah,
that shit don't. That's not.
Especially even if one person turns. I mean, I thought they did a really great job in the episode later, and we'll get to that scene later. But when they get to the checkpoint and they're like, and Ellie's asking what happened, and Joel's like, half of them turned and they went, and then they fought each other, and everyone ended up dead.
And everybody loses.
Exactly, shit like that can happen so fucking easily. John Haymaker has
because listen, Phil, you get bit, and you're my best friend. Now, I'm the type of guy that might shoot you in the head.
Joe,
right?
Don't shoot me in real quick before you do that. Give me what John Haymaker in the live chat says. Get me the anti-fungal cream.
Right, yeah.
Let's try that first.
Try a little niacin.
Yes. Give me the
niacin spray down on my foot.
Let's break into a CVS first. Give me that.
Straight injection, some bleach in the veins there.
Let me do this.
So, but no. So you but if I get bit, maybe I convince you, Phil, because of our bond.
Oh, you think I'm weak? You think I wouldn't kill you?
No, I think you would run off. You would be like, "Okay, Joe," and then you'd run off in the middle of the night. I'm out of here. More so, also partly because I ain't wasting the bullet. I might need it later.
I'd bring this. I'd go like this. I'd make you think there's a clicker was around it. I'd go like that for a second.
So you got the friends that are there. One of them is bit. No, I ain't letting you kill Billy. Whoa, Billy's gonna turn. No, he's not. Yes, he is. And then they start shooting, and then Billy turns while they're fucking arguing. Everybody's shooting.
Joe,
everybody.
all I heard with this story was that you would kill me quick, and I
You're
would.
Welcome. You're welcome.
And I would run off.
And you'd let me suffer.
And I'd let you and I'd run off and let you suffer. So in both situations, I'm the asshole. So you're not gonna say
no. You're the one that doesn't have to turn into a clicker and French kiss me.
Oh my goodness. Lux for a super chat donation. Thank you so much for that super chat. It means more than you know. Toast to you, my friend. Hearts to you.
Phil, honestly, I think that if I showed up back to camp with a scratch, you'd be the first one to put a bullet in my head. You'd be like, "You're scratched. You got
I'd have someone else. I'd have Shane do it.
He'd be the first one standing behind Shane. Shoot him!
Shane, you gotta shoot Joe. You gotta shoot Joe now. Come on. Joe, I love you, buddy. You're okay. You're going to be okay. Shoot him, Shane. Do it now. Joe, you're going to be fine, buddy. I love you. Kill him now. So, Joe, you would make a great government agent. Phil Lemigate, I'm watching this episode after this. I made my brother promise to kill me if I turned. Everybody in the live chat, does a kiss from the runner mean these zombies have some sort of cognitive sense of some sort? Joe, does the fungus have a sense, a hive mind of some kind? Again, I say Borg. Is there anything Borg-like about this fungus? Or is it all natural fungus just controlling people's minds with instinctual shit?
They did give it this kind of almost hive mindish kind of feel to it, but no.
But no, okay. I don't want to dwell too much there. Tie Joe to a wheelchair and promise to give him toys. Yes, that's what I would do. Joe, I'm gonna prepare something for
You're
you.
gonna have all the best toys.
You're gonna do
This is
great,
gonna
Joe.
sting for a second, but don't worry, you'll be fine.
So they decide it's working in most places, or they say that the bombs didn't work in most places, but it happened to work in Boston. And they got a long way to go, and they have to scout. They can go the long way or the short way. The short way, fuck the short way, we're gonna die. The death way. The long way, we should scout out first. So they need to go through a hotel to scout out the path of the long way to see if they can make it that way. So there's more chatting, and again, I'm going to yada yada this a little bit. There's some chatting with Tess and Ellie about how she got bit. And this is the moment where Tess starts to think of Ellie a little bit more in a badass way, like she's a tough little motherfucker. And she's like, you went into this place that I don't even know what you're talking about. You went into an XYZ alone, all by yourself. And she's like, yeah,
she
I
doesn't
went to...
buy it.
Yeah,
she doesn't buy it at all.
She's like,
you're with somebody,
and she's like, no, I went in there all by myself. I kicked ass and I got bit because I didn't think I was gonna get bit and blah 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 and there's some bullshit. She asks her if she has a mom or dad or a boyfriend that will become looking after her. She's like, I got nobody and I'm an orphan. And Ellie's wondering where the hordes are, and she says, and they say, don't believe everything you say because it seems pretty clear out. And they're like, and then you hear a scream of some sort. They're like, and what I like about what happened, Joe, is right in that moment when we hear the scream, they made everything that was bright before get like a dark tone to it. They like darkened it up a little bit, and it shifted, and everything felt scary and more haunting, like something bad was about to happen. And all the fungus are connected like real fungi and might have a hive.
Real life fungi has a hive mind.
Fungi mind. Yep. And the locutus of Borg fungi. Fungi Borg. It wasn't the bomb. It was the clam chowder in Boston with the mushrooms that killed everybody, Joe. It was the clam chowder, says Iron Throne. Click, click, click. Here we go. Okay, so we cut to some putrid water eventually with some frogs, and they're at the expensive hotel, and they have to cross the moat, Joe. And Ellie doesn't know how to swim, and Joel's like, "Listen, dumbass, it's fucking shallow, and you're gonna be okay." And she goes, "How was I supposed to know?" In this
place looked just like the game.
Did it? You had to
oh god
go through all this
Boston,
shit.
Like it all just like they did such a great job making this. The set design is perfect. They like it really. It makes me feel like I'm watching the game. Like all the overgrowth, the green fucking muck water, like all of it. Just
the muck.
All of it. There's one shot last week too where you see dust in the light of a window, in the light stream from a window, which was like very, very much game shit. Like they use that feature a lot.
Yeah, Loner's like, you're from Boston? Nice knowing you. Yeah, it was nice while it lasted. We hide the accent well sometimes. So they go running in, they get into the hotel, and we get a little connecting moment between Ellie and Joel during this moment. But then she starts ringing the bell at the hotel and talking shit and making fun of and pushing the cart. And we think we see a zombie or a creature, but it's not. It's sort of a dried up one. And Joel and her, they touch it to see how dry it is, and they keep going back up, and they climb up the stairs, and Tess makes some comment about how she's old and has and it's tough to walk up those flights with the knees, and because Ellie's like, this wasn't too bad, we're up here, this is nice, and she's like, you try it with 50-year-old knees. And I second that, Tess. And then we try to find a way, and they're cut off, and they let Tess go up ahead and do her thing, and Joel and Ellie have a very awkward moment where they try to come up with something to talk about, but they have this like silent moment where she picks up the knife. He says, nice knife. This scene, I don't know if this was just from the show, but this seemed to me like it was probably straight out of the game. No, this was completely new.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So another sort of textural,
like basically anytime she wants to talk at this point,
have a good night,
Chance. In the show, game wise, anytime she tries to talk to Joel, or
He's just like, fuck you.
yeah, shut up, kid, stay silent. Like, I ain't about. Once I get you there, I'm getting you there. And like, Tess is dead, and now he's like, eh, yeah, he's still on like the shut up.
Yeah.
Don't talk about me. Don't talk to me about Tess. Don't talk to me about my, like, you don't know nothing about me.
Richie says sucks they
Your
didn't do
cargo.
the skyscraper part. Killmonger says Ellie is much meaner in the show. And so they have the conversation. She asks him where he's from, Texas, and Tess is from Detroit, and he goes to Michigan. And she's like, I know where fucking Michigan is. I'm in school, you dumbass. And then she starts asking questions. Again, this is all new stuff probably. So as you were saying, so you're just getting more information about the walkers here, or the zombie creatures. She asks how long the infected live. He says 2 months, but some can last up to 20 years, which is really crazy. She asks if he's killed one. He said, I've killed lots of them. And he starts acting like a badass for a second. And she's like, is it tough to kill them because there used to be people? And he goes, well, sometimes. And then she turns around and says, how about that guy you killed last night? And Joel's about to say, well, that I fucking liked, as we get into what hasn't even been sniffed about yet. And I don't know anything to come. But as much as these clickers and these these runners and these other zombie type creatures that are going to show up, we still haven't bumped into. There was still the horrifying thing that a character said in the first episode when Joel was going to like his
the radio guy,
and the guy was saying, you're going to go out there. There's the stuff I hear out there. Rapers and slavers and robbers and this and that. Like, we haven't seen sniff one of that kind of shit yet. Yeah, we haven't seen sniff one of that kind of shit. And it's not, and they got to go all the way to fucking, like, I think, like Wisconsin, wherever the hell they're going. Where are they traveling to? It's a pretty far distance from Boston. It's Nebraska.
No, they're just going to Lexington right now.
Okay,
or to Bill.
Lexington to Bill and
to Frank.
Bill and Frank's place or whatever, which will be probably our introduction to seeing fucked up humans, and I'm anticipating a lot of crazy shit about to happen. Okay, so they keep going back and forth, and this is where we get a little bit more information about the mushrooms. They look out the window and we see all the runners asleep. Joe talked about this earlier. They mentioned that in this particular universe, which this is new for the show, instead of the spore stuff, which again they said may come in season 2, but for now they've introduced this dynamic, which is and I don't know how far this stretches, but if it's connected to the same fungus line and you touch the fungus, it
can alert
all of them, and they will all come. And it's Chekhov's runners that we hear, that we know we're going to have happen by the end of the episode, because they mentioned that here, and we're going to see it. So we get through the museum. They head through the museum. Joel checks out and says they might all be dry. It's time for flashlight stuff. They pull out the flashlights. This to me said this must be gameplay time when they all pull out the flashlights and the guns. And Ellie's like, "Give me a gun."
Yeah, you need your flashlight. You got to constantly shake your controller to like get the batteries to work.
Yeah,
for the flashlight to go back on.
Yeah,
so like you could be like in some like moments where you're about to sneak around a corner and your flashlight starts like flickering or turns off, and like shit.
And absolutely, Walking David, Joel he's determined to get Ellie to Lambeau Field to play for the Packers in the Super Bowl game. He's trying to do that. So Joel checks out and says there's okay, it's time for the flashlight stuff. They go in the Boston Museum. They see some dead zombie creatures that aren't wet anymore, and they can't do anything. They see it's just a big fucked up scene. This is where they're supposed to meet everybody, and Ellie goes, "What the hell happened?" And oh no, okay, this is when they start to. They have a conversation. I'm sorry. They see one of the bodies that some really fucked up shit happened to. and Joel and Tess immediately know that it's a clicker, and they're like, did this happen to them outside, or are there clickers in here? And Ellie's like, what the fuck did this? I got bit. This didn't look like this. What's this shit? And they're like, don't worry about it. And they suss out that we can't hear it, so it's probably not in here. So they decide to stay in there, and they walk around, and we hear a sound, and they hide, and this leads up. We talked a lot about the clicker earlier. We get our clicker reveal as Joel whispers to Ellie they can hear it, but they can't see us, and be quiet. And right as it's sort of sneaking around, is this from the game where she sort of exhales and the thing jumps at you?
Need to cut the jump scare.
The jump scare, yeah. It's the
it might be like on like the preview or his title screen shit, but like, dude, it's all over the fucking game. You get chased by these fucking things.
These things
they're
fucking...
always yelling at you, clicking at you, coming for you. Oh, and dude, it's not. This game is tense. Play it on grounded mode. This game is fucking tense.
Yep, and that walks by, and they get into a fight. Pedro's reloading and trying to shoot it down. It just keeps coming and coming. It's coming in slide directions.
These things, man.
There's another one that shows up that Tess runs off with. He makes his way to Ellie. He's like, Ellie, hold your damn breath this time. And they sneak away, and Joel steps on something which alerts all the runners that are coming this way. And he fires, and he looks outside. He's like, they're coming. As Tess shows back up, he's like, they're going to be here in like 2 fucking minutes, and we're in trouble. And Tess just, his whole mood changes. She's just like, fuck this shit. And Tess stabs one of the other ones in the head, and Joel shoots it, and they kill the 2 clickers. Ellie asks, is everyone's okay? Ellie was bit again, and she's like, I shit my pants. I was bit again, but if I'm going to get bit, who gives a fuck, right?
No, they don't alert the
runners yet. Yeah, I jumped.
That was just the thing that they stepped on. They did step on something on their way.
Right, which alerted the other clicker. I was wrong.
No, but it just was a noise. It was already dead. The fungus that's been growing in this building is dried out and dead.
Right.
That particular mushroom is dead and gone, and they just
what does
to be a couple of clickers walking around. What does he
step on early? We'll get to it in a second.
It was a dried out limb of one of the people. Like I said, so when you're a runner.
No, I mean later when it does alert all the runners.
Just fungus that's been growing.
So it's actually a living piece of fungus.
A living piece of fungus that's in the State House. Correct.
And my heart's pounding.
Part of like the mile-long one, apparently.
Luna's heart's pounding. My heart's pounding. Everyone's heart's pounding as she was about to shit her pants. They make their way up. He hands her a bandage. Ellie crosses the roof as we see another gameplay mechanic that I know a lot about, that you use these planks to cross roofs. Yep. And Joel questions with Tess about whether we should kill Ellie now because she's been bitten the second time and we might not get as lucky. And Tess is just like, her mood changes completely because she's been bit at this point.
Oh, yeah. And her complete change. And Joel notices immediately.
Yep. And Joel and Ellie talk the view and the world. Tess comes in.
It's not just her ankle.
Nope. And she says she sprained her ankle, but it's not just that. She's like, let's get the fuck out of here. They climb down with another couple of great visuals as Joel looks at Ellie look at the wounds, or looks at Ellie's wound, and Ellie's like, it's nothing. It's just a flesh wound. And they go to meet
there as fast as we fucking can, she says.
Yep.
Because she knows where she's bit. She doesn't have much time.
Thank you, Luna. Joel stepped on some glass. And then they finally get to the group to meet for trade, and they don't see anything. They see an empty truck. Joel investigates the situation, and he backs around. It's really tense as he opens his back, and nothing's there. Ellie says they went inside.
And it's very obviously a troop transport truck.
Yep. And they look around, and everyone's dead. They look for the radio, and they ask what happened, and the infected ones ate the healthy ones. Yes, Joe.
But Tess, can't I just shoot her here now too? Take the battery that's in that truck right there.
Right. Yeah, it's a good question.
And go back to Boston and go get my actual fucking brother. I'm delivering her for a battery. There's one right fucking there.
Let's take it. Let's fucking take it. And Tess is obsessed now. She's like, it's not my luck. We'll finally get some good luck. Ellie calls it, and eventually Ellie kind of picks it out of Tess and figures out that because the way she's talking and the way she's vibing out the situation, that
fuck.
she's infected.
Just like the fucking game. Just like all this that happens right here. With the like I said, instead of these fireflies having been bit and killing each other, Fedra shows up. They're still hunting the fireflies. Fedra shows up, and there's a fight between them, and they're all dead. And while Joel and Ellie and Tess are here, Fedra pulls back up outside.
John asks a good question, though, as you made a point. Why not take the truck?
Not well. The truck can't be taken. That truck looked like it was damaged.
Oh, okay.
So maybe the battery is damaged too, but they don't even look. They don't even like mention it or suggest it.
No, maybe they'll say something in the next.
But it didn't
episode.
look like the engine compartment was the broken, or it didn't look like the battery would be fucked.
So Ellie, just like the game, calls out Tess for being infected, and she shows the neck bite, and she's like, they get into the situation that she's gonna die, and in this moment, Tess is just like, well, Ellie still hasn't turned, and she got bit too, and she's not feeling it. I'm feeling the mushroom vibes right now. The psilocybin's kicking in, and I'm feeling it, and she's not. She's the real deal. She might in fact be the one. and we need to do something about that. And she says you got to bring her to Frank and Bill's. I don't know who Frank and Bill are, but we're going to bring it to Frank and Bill's.
Nick Offerman.
They will keep her alive and set everything right. And Ellie gets scared with another fucking bomb as more gathering and more coming. And then this is the situation where someone touches, I forget if it's Ellie or Joel, someone touches the fungus, and all the ones that were sleeping wake up automatically and start running towards them. And they look out, and Joel says it's going to be like 2 minutes. Tess is a badass, and she's like, I'm going to burn this fucking place down and make sure they don't follow you.
Yeah, she starts throwing all the grenades on the floor, the gasoline that they had stored there.
So this shit doesn't happen in the game. She doesn't burn.
She holds them off with. She holds herself.
Oh,
up
because it's not runners in the game. It's Fedra. And this is what people are saying, that they like she shoots a bunch of Fedra agents as they're trying to charge in and installs time while Joel and Ellie get away.
Instead of making out with a walker.
Instead of
I thought that was kind of fucking stupid.
Right. So then the walkers come in. Tess is about to get hoarded, but she can't light the fire. She's flicking her Zippo over and over again. Listen, I've owned a Zippo, and wait 1 second. I'm gonna sneeze, Joe. So talk for a second.
Sneeze.
Thank you. I've owned a Zippo before, and if it has any fluid in it, and you're lighting it like that, that's like a TV thing and a movie thing. You're the lighter not lighting trope. It's whatever, but it is what it is. It's definitely a TV trope. So she's trying to light the lighter, and it's just not lighting. And then one of the runner walker guys comes in.
I thought this was really kind of cheesy. This doesn't happen in the game.
And senses that she's about to turn to their side and walks up on her and gives her a makeout kiss and like starts kissing her and implanting more of the fungi.
Right. She's already infected. Why would he go do it, infect her more?
And she's like trying to light the lighter the whole time while it's going on, so she's not completely turned yet.
I thought this was really fucking weird and kind of just. I really didn't like this. Maybe the chat people did, but I thought it was kind of dumb. I didn't think it was creepy. I just thought it was like, obviously Tess is like, she's obviously decided she's going to die here in this moment. So she's given up a little, and she's trying to prolong, like she's not running from him, so she can light the fucking lighter, and blow everybody up. But if it just seemed. It didn't attack her. It strolled up to her,
and it's sashayed over to her,
and
Tony.
then slowly kissed her.
And then kissed her. Said that I was a big fan of Mindhunters, and then made out with her.
Right? Like, it just seemed really weird. It didn't fit with anything that we've seen yet. I don't know if they're going to continue this
makeout thing.
Yeah,
it was almost vampire-ish with a seduction stare.
Yeah, like
vampire
almost makes you think like now they're thinking too.
Right? Are they projecting, like, mind controlling her there? But she was still controlling the lighter, so she wasn't fully controlled. Did she just say fuck it at that point?
Right. So, and if they could project the mind control, then you don't need to go like stick your fungus in her.
Yeah,
because it's already in her.
And then why is she flipping the fucking?
Because it doesn't fully control her yet, but it's on its way. So
her automatic your automatic response as you're dying and your mind control
is to keep doing that. She's focused only on trying to hold the door. Okay,
hold the door.
Hold the door. Right.
Hold the door.
But like, why is this thing going up to make out with her? That was just fucking. It was a weird part.
The only thing I can think about is, again, what we're speculating, which again is our own headcanon. We don't know anything. That because she was already halfway turning, that it sensed and was just connecting with her because it's part of the mushroom net now. But that's again reaching to a certain extent. Let's get in the live chat and see what some of those people think. And we do have a couple more voicemails. Make sure you're calling. We're almost at the end of our recap. So now's the time.
Right. The grenade. I don't know if it might not be
there's a
grenades.
There's a question about the grenades directly for you, Joe. Question, Joe. How about those grenades? Would those have been useful for Joel and Ellie later?
Yes. To take at least one or two, sure.
And
maybe look like let's try to grab a couple of guns. I mean, they didn't have much time, yes, but like quick pick up a grenade. Maybe he did. Maybe we didn't. I don't know.
Let's hope he didn't. Let's hope he did. Let's hope he read up.
He didn't.
He did. Joe's like, I know. He did. Spoiler alert. He didn't. Sonic says visual description guy on that moment when I muted would be Joe saying Phil sneezed. Now TV tropes for 400. Sneeze. Yeah, the lighter thing is played out. The kiss to distract her from the Zippo. Yeah, exactly. It was just a weird scene. I bet that kiss tickled, said Sonic Boy. John Haymaker says, yeah, it was romantic. Iron Throne says they should have saved the kiss for Valentine's Day next week. The fungus was trying to spread its seed. Then why not in the ear? Why in the lips?
But it's already been spread.
It is, but like the instinct could be to spread it more. But my question would be in that situation, why was
not the neck?
The neck or the ear or something. Like it was specific, like a sachet kiss move. Maybe I don't like how the extra played it or how he was directed.
Like all the rest of it was obviously like he should have run over and like jumped on her, knocked her over, and she could have been on the ground trying to do this.
Instead, Joe, again, it was like a.
Yeah, like it was completely fucking. I didn't like it. I did not. It was a
little something. It was a little something. A little Brady Bunch. So that fungus was trying to spread. Lux says not a fan of the kiss, and also could she have set off one of those grenades, like just held onto it? Like, come on, would that have been better than the lighter? I added, would that be better? Yes.
Yeah, he has to find those manuals, Slim.
Yes. The answer is yes. It's called Double Pump Boys. That was a dumb scene. Let's not make excuses for bad writing.
Yeah. No.
We're not.
I'm definitely calling it out there. I'm definitely calling out The Last of Us for that moment in this scene. Yeah. The scene plays well until the stop.
If they had all jumped on her in that moment, and like,
been okay.
and again, if they had done a cheesy fucking thing,
or just ignored her,
that would have been another thing. But like. The ignore would have been fun, but if they all turned on her and like ran at her, Joe, and even if they did the cheesiness of she's trying to light the lighter, they all jump on her, and as they jump on her and her hand drops, she gets the light in. You know, like even if they did something cheesy like that, I would have liked it better than the sachet, the in vogue kiss thing going on. How can anyone be fan of a creepy death kiss? Google Poe. Wow, you guys are hard audience. I love this. We love this episode too, Poe. We just
I loved this episode. We're talking
loved
about
a
one
scene.
moment in this episode.
We're talking about a scene.
Not even a scene. It's the last moment of the scene. Right?
Yes.
Like the whole thing, everything from like the moment they walk into the courthouse to the explosion in the courthouse is the scene.
Exactly.
Not the courthouse, the state house.
I think we're both very still high on this episode. Where I would have given episode 1 a 9 out of 10, I would give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. It's
that moment loses a half a point for me.
Exactly.
But it's just one moment in this. And I gotta say, I probably give the last episode, last week's, even higher rating.
Yeah, you probably give last week a 10
longer,
for you, right?
But that same, I called it out for that same Bella Ramsey scene in that moment where in the hallway.
So you'd be 9.5 last week out of 10 would be for you?
9.5. No, 9 last week. 8.5 this week.
No, so same score.
A 10 is difficult, dude. A 10, I reserve a 10.
Yeah.
I reserve a 10.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Like there's the Ned Stark episode of Game of Thrones. That's a 10, right? Like that's a good episode.
Post says, "Nah, I know. I just like the addition to a lore." And Joe, as someone who's played the game too, does like a lot of the additions to the lore, like the Borg-like connection with the touchy stuff where all the guys run at him.
Yeah, I don't mind that. With the lack of the spores, I don't mind that. You are
just not a fan of True Love's kiss.
But I mean, that's kind of hard because this shit is fucking everywhere, right? You're gonna be stepping and walking on this shit and not even know that it's like connected. It could be just a pinpoint.
Now Lux says the Capitol was so spot on, chef's kiss, and they see the Capitol, and I forgot to mention they did see the Capitol as they were running up on it. Very well done. So Tess is about to get hoarded, and she's kissed, and right as she's kissed, she's able to light the lighter, and it blows up as Ellie and Joel are running away. They look for a second, and Ellie's like, "What the fuck? We can't just..."
They see the explosion come out, all the fire come out.
Yep, and Ellie does a big sigh. She turns to the camera, and that's the end of our episode, Joe, of The Last of Us.
Yeah, and so another problem I have, I gotta say, is Joel and Ellie and Tess are in the Capitol building, and they step on the fungus.
The fungi,
and
it alerts the...
And they all come running. Now, Ellie and Joel have fled the building and are now what appears to be a quarter of a mile away. Okay? And that's fine. 2 minutes, they were running, they were beating foot, they were putting it down, getting the fuck out of there. That's good. Okay. Maybe they're not quite a quarter mile away, whatever. But my problem is the runners, they're not in sight of the runners. They're not in the location that the fungus was stepped on. They're presumably not making more noise than Tessa should have.
What is the range of that touching zombie? Like, do all the zombies from like 5 miles away running towards them at this point?
Are running to that spot.
Right.
Or whatever
how
is
far
connected,
is
whatever, we don't know. But I'm presuming whatever are connected to that particular mushroom.
And Joe, if you step on it, do you get athlete's foot? Great question, John Haymaker.
And like, so are like they tracking the spores left on Joel's foot? Because from what we know, the runners, they can see you and hear you, and that's how they come after you. The clickers, they need to find you with sonar. They need to hear you, right? And Joel and Ellie should have been safe and in the clear. And those runners were coming out the back of the fucking state house.
Yeah.
Right? On the path of Joel and Ellie, presumably.
They were going towards where
No, they were past that.
Where Frodo put on the ring, though. Like, where they stepped on it.
That was inside.
Right, so that's when, because Tess blew
them
off. They
were on their way out. So, that last scene when we see the explosion.
Are you saying Joel's feet are smelly?
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm saying why were they continuing to chase past the room where they got stepped on the thing?
Because
they stepped on the thing in location A, but they passed location A on their way to B where Ellie and
because at
Joel
that
are.
point they had gotten visual because
No,
they saw them at that point.
Well past the outside of that building. The Joel and Ellie are way off in the distance when that fucking building explodes. So by the time they get into that room, Joel and Ellie aren't in that room. Nobody can see. None of the clickers and none of the runners can see or hear Joel and Ellie.
No, they're gone. Yeah,
they're gone. So why are they flooding out of the building? Why didn't they just all run into that fucking room and oh look, there's nothing here and stop
and go eat Tess?
Or like we said, all jump on Tess, but Tess is already infected, so only one of them is going to go make out with her, and all the rest just keep running past that spot like they can see Joel and Ellie. They couldn't, and they wouldn't have been able to hear.
They were watching the scene
because
earlier.
of all the running. No, so I call bullshit on that as well, as far as what we're doing game wise.
No, in fairness to you,
it's how they work.
In fairness to what you were just saying with the game, it has nothing to do with the game because this is show science that hasn't been worked out yet. They added this to show, so we're having to figure out how this whole thing works. To your point, are they like what people speculated for Game of Thrones, like when the Night King touched Bran? Did Joel get marked now, and all the runners that he touched are going to be following his foot because he's the one
all the runners that are connected to that particular
following Joel's foot now
mushroom are following the spores that are on the bottom of Joel's foot.
Is that what we're saying, or are they going where the step was? And to your point, if they are going, because I didn't think about this. That's why it took me a second. If they are going to that point,
why don't they just
stay there? Why would they try to exit out the back door to chase after Joel and Ellie? Because Joel and Ellie left before any of them got there.
They're already out of that building and down the fucking street by the time we see a couple of them running down the stairs.
Unless those clickers and runners read the script and knew that
Joel and know where they were going to be.
And knew.
I'm saying Joel and Ellie should have already been in the clear and not had to worry about being
I get what you're saying, Joe, and I love the Joe exploration there to get a little bit more information. We need some more information about the athlete's foot in the live chat. The live chat, as usual, is amazing.
So they're all with it's stuck to his foot. They're all just straight up on that. Nope, it's the fungus toes. It's the foot. Am I not making a good case here, chat? Come on.
Give Joe the thumbs down here, folks.
I'm giving this critical eye. This is another one. I've been waiting so long for this. I'm not going to let them pass just because I love the fucking source and I love it all, and I really love the episode. I promised everybody that's how we roll.
You always have to roll like that, Joe. But
shut the fuck up.
It's been a while.
That's true. So this scene, from the moment that they actually step on it and they come running, I start having a few problems with how things are working, like the kiss and then the continued pursuit of Joel and Ellie.
Again, watching it for the first time, you didn't necessarily have the issues, but like picking it apart and thinking about it in comparison to
now
the
that
game.
We're talking about it, right? I didn't even think about that until we're talking about it right now.
Yep. So let's listen to a couple of voicemails before we start to wrap this up. This is area code 773. We got a couple of messages from 773. Here we go.
Guys, I got the season 3 early. I don't care if you guys want to hear spoilers or not, but here goes. Joel.
Oh no. Fucking
Elliot.
Oh, what the fuck? Oh, fucking what? Oh god.
Anyway, later.
Good one, buddy. Okay, here we go. Area code 773.
Hello, it's me once more. I am totally not envious of that one caller who had a very delicious voice. It was very pure. I am totally not jealous of it. But anyway, with Joe, I wanted to know, I have questions that I can't ask here because, spoilers. I want to know, can I message you, like, in a private messenger or
can you tweet at Joe and ask him Last of Us question? What we'll do
at Dirty Locks Twitter.
Yeah, at Dirty Locks on Twitter. You can at Joe ask him questions there. or Joe and I will figure out something to do a spoiler stream at some point where Joe can talk all about video game spoilers. We'll get into that at some point, maybe mid-season. We'll do that. Maybe I'll try to get Tony on it too, because I know Tony's played the game, and I'd love to get Tony and Joe together eventually. So we'll try to do something at some point. I know some spoilers. I think I know enough to tiptoe through that. But if not, after the season, we'll get that. But if you want to get a Joe, at Dirty Locks on Twitter is the best way to reach him for commentary, or that's the best way. And by all means, message Joe, or you can contact Joe Dirty Locks' OnlyFans, but you have to subscribe to that, and you can see him with posed in interesting positions like the Burt Reynolds position with the kitty, and it's very entertaining stuff. People say Joe's making some good points. Joe's got fungus in his toes. But yeah, we'll try to do some sort of mid-season spoiler thing where Joe can talk about that spoiler stuff on a little bit more of an open fashion. Or if you want to talk to Joe privately, message him on Twitter. So Joe, another good episode. You're still loving the show. You give this one, like you said, an 8.5 out of 10 if we're giving scores here.
See, now that I talked myself into that, exploring that last scene a little bit,
you're dropping
more,
it. Might
Phil,
drop it to an 8.
I might drop it to an 8, but because I really didn't like that kiss a lot, and then now I'm stuck on that. Why are they still like? If that's the point, if anytime and anywhere you step on this fungus, it can wake up anything that's in its area that it's connected to somehow, like this.
It's a little weird. It's a little Borgy.
Like that's.
It's a little.
Yeah, that really is, and then like because how it spreads to the surface, where you can then step on it, or it grows underground like regular funguses as well.
It's sketchy, and then with the
that means that the entire it spreads a mile. You shouldn't be able to take a step. It can come up everywhere, anywhere.
And again, how far does that range go? Igor has another question. I left a bit before. Did anyone talk about how they had a door barricaded earlier than Joel opens it, and then the door swings out? I did not notice that, but that's funny. I think somebody
in the hotel. It's just locked.
Yeah, someone said, did anyone notice they had a door barricaded earlier than Joel?
Well, that's why he couldn't kick it in, because it opens outwards, and the frame would stop you from kicking it in easy.
And it's who says it's a lot more like Invasion of the Body Snatchers than from the game, says Poe. And the fungi uses chemicals to communicate. We got another voicemail from the.
It's one of the reasons why your house door opens in and not out. Your house door opens in so that when the emergency crews arrive, they can kick
that motherfucker open if they need.
Or
to
when the SWAT team arrives, they can fucking kick the door open. If it opens outwards, you have the whole frame stopping.
And Joe, the obvious that if it opens out, you're gonna smack the person waiting at the door in the fucking face.
Right.
But then that's not a bad.
And then there's that.
There's that too. That would be odd. Then you smack the pizza boy in the fucking face, and you take the pizza and you throw the money. That's fucking pizza dude's got 30 seconds. We got one last voicemail, I think. Area code 916 again. Oh, here we go. Let me sit back and relax and hear the smooth sounds of 916.
Hello, it's the voice at 916 again. Joe, watch it again and really look at it. And also tell me what your lady thinks on the next stream.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll tell you right now.
Thank
you. Thank you, voice of 916. I'll tell you right now what she thought of last week's episode. She watched it when we got off the show. I went in like almost immediately and watched it with her. And she really liked it. She thought the first half was really, really good. And hey, you want hold on a second. Katie, come here.
Joe, while we're waiting for Katie to come over, we get someone in the live chat that's like seems like it's talking about you. Average Joe's Gambling, the name in the chat. that kind of describes you perfectly.
Right? Quick talk.
I mean, it was basically.
Did you hear?
Yep.
basically a rehashing of the video game, little extras here and there, scene-wise, but, I mean, it was alright.
Now, did you want to watch it a second time?
No.
Why?
Because I've seen it.
Was it as good as the original video game cinematics and story that you watched?
Yes.
Did you like the extras that they added?
Yeah.
Would she have liked it if she never saw the game?
I enjoyed it immensely. I've just seen it so many times already. The change in actors didn't make any difference.
Would you have liked it if you hadn't seen the video game?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you feel better about this? Now, think only about the first season and episode. Did you like this first episode better than the first episode of The Walking Dead?
Yes.
That's what Katie thought of the first episode, and I'll have her do the same thing next week for you, Voice of 916, about what she thinks when we get done with this and we go watch this episode.
Oh, thank you for caring about my opinion.
Aww. Good job.
Everybody, Katie Crow.
We got, showing some love to Katie Crow in the live chat. Next up is the Barry White hour. People feel like we had Katie and then we had the voice in Katie and the. So before we end things, let's end our poll right now. Let me take off my poll, and our poll is at 105 votes. We have ratings for episode 2. Pretty good. Wins at 44%. Fucking amazing at 40%, so it's very close. Not so bad, but Slow Down Charlie, 8%. And Balls on a Stick, I hated it, 5% of the people voted.
Okay, so I'm gonna
talk to the
full
poll.
Transparency here.
Did you vote twice?
I voted once. I always only vote once on this thing. Fucking amazing, damn was my vote, but I would kind of like to change it to pretty good.
Pretty.
Because of the last 2 minutes.
Right.
So one thing I did really like in that last 2 minutes.
Damn our show, Joe. Damn our show straight to hell.
Right? One thing I did really like about that last 2 minutes is when Joel makes up his mind. He snatches that girl up by her arm and fucking takes off running. Done. Decision fucking made. Let's go. We're out of here. She's doing this. No, you ain't staying behind. She told me what to do. Get you where you need to Bill and Frank's. That's it. Done. He snatches her and just drags her right the fuck out of that room. I thought that was pretty good.
It was pretty
good. You know what? I'm keeping it.
Keep it 8.5.
Yeah, because that makes up for the thing that took me 3 hours to think of as to what was bad about that scene, about the things
after having to listen to me painstakingly recap what happened.
It was damn fucking good. I liked that was damn fucking good.
G-Po in the live chat, I'm sad I really liked Anna Torva. I liked her as well. We mentioned this earlier. I figured out halfway through this episode, which I didn't figure out in the first episode. If you haven't seen her on Mindhunters, I highly suggest that show. It's unfortunately one of those Netflix series that never ends, but I still have faith it might come back someday. So it is 2 seasons and then you're done, but it's 2 very good seasons of a television show. I can't speak highly enough.
Season 1 was much better than season 2, but yes.
But you'll admit at least that both seasons.
Yes.
The problem with season 2 from a production standpoint is David Fincher, who wrote and directed it, tried to create a production team to do seasons 2 and season 3 because he wanted to do other projects, but he wanted to get the vehicle moving. And he didn't like the product that was being turned out, so he had to come back and work on the show in season 2 and take over for all the people he gave the project to. So that's why season 2 is mismatched, and you eventually get to the good stuff because Fincher took back over, and that's why you're never going to get a season 3 for right now, because he says seasons 1 and 2 almost killed him because it's like Sakurai making making the Smash Brothers game. He just puts his whole self into it.
I gotta tell you, here's the thing. These these guys that some of these writers that take a chance um, and create these things that are stories that are told slightly differently, right? Like Mindhunters.
Yep.
Um, we know that story, or Chernobyl, right? We know the story, but it's told very well
Yeah, very dark,
in
very
these
interesting.
right? And or you can even say Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, same thing, same kind of like like we know this story,
Yeah.
right? We've seen this kind of story before, but like it's told so well. Um, when you have that, it's ah, yeah, never mind. I lost my train of thought. What we used to say, yeah, I do that so often. I start mansplaining my shit and fucking forget what I
you
was talking
sounded
about.
like you were going somewhere really profound.
I really kind of. Oh, and so you said he started a production team. So there we go. I knew it was something about what you said, and that's what you get. You hire all these fucking people who are, straight out of college or straight out of the industry that have been working and pulling out these same fucking tropes as underwriters
and they just can't do it.
It's they can't get away from it because they've been told that's what's so fucking good all this time.
That's what happened to like The Simpsons. Like anyone who had a creative bone in their body stopped working on the show, and they had a bunch of like secondary people that are just like going automatic pilot.
That like, oh, I want to be in the TV industry.
Joe, it would be like
this is
even
what I'm doing.
It would be like even though we're very we're not the most popular thing in the universe in the internet world, it would be like if you and I were like, I like doing this show with you. I like talking to you, Joe. But coming up with what we're saying is hard. Let's get somebody else to write the scripts of what you and I are going to say on this podcast. I'm done coming up with shit to say right here. So let's have
like Hard Dick did.
Let's
like
have
Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, let's have the Talking Dead writers write our scripts.
Write the questions that I'm going to ask the whole fucking panel.
Yes, and we're going to go
and my praise.
Exactly. Let's go back and have the Talking Dead writers and the Walking Dead writers write what we're going to say about the final episodes of that series, and
so that's the problem. That's what happened to The Walking Dead, right? Like the creative forces that wanted to tell a story, a compelling story, differently than had been told before, were removed, and the void was filled with the swamp, like the people that have been doing it for years and haven't done original or don't have this necessarily or even if they do have the creative vision and talent, have been stifled and stymied into no. These are the 15 tropes. Stabler's got to tell Benson, and Benson's got to tell Mr. fucking Ice Cube or Ice T or whatever the fuck. And Ice T's got to tell Munch, and Munch got to tell Benson, and Benson got to tell Stabler again, and Stabler's got to tell that they can't go rogue and they got to do it by the book. They all got to tell each other once every season not to do something, and then the next episode go do that thing and have a different character tell them not to do that very same thing they did last week, like over and over and over.
You've been watching Law and Order reruns again?
Right, but like every fucking episode or season has the same 4 episodes each season and that's what you get when you start these production companies, because you're just hiring a machine.
Yep, it works sometimes with comedic sitcoms and stuff. Sometimes for a while it can work with animation departments, but it's noticeable when you have an identity of the series that's connected to the creator, i.e. The Simpsons and things like that, where it's just you have that kind of identity, and then when you have people to try to recreate it, sometimes you get smart people like the initial writing team, like when Conan ran the show, but then eventually you get to people that just don't mesh with comedy and think about it as a cash cow. Yeah, we did get a Joe rant. We get it. You guys can clip that too. We'll clip that rant there at the end. We got Studio 11, Jay. How much in loving this show? Dare I say it's almost a perfect adaptation from the game. Cheers, boy. Great to see Studio 11 live. We are loving the episode so far. We cannot wait for next episode. Joe on the writers for The Walking Dead. Fire the writers, then fire them from the next job, and get the managers to fire them then fire the managers for fucking hiring them in the first fucking place. They really underestimate and insult their audience, Joe, is what Luna said. And
yes.
I would absolutely agree with that. And that's the problem where you get with sitcoms, and Chuck Lorre made a whole career of that bullshit. And I know you kind of like the fucking early seasons of fucking the Charlie Sheen show there. The fucking
Oh yeah, love.
But, okay,
early
yes,
seasons
but who gives a fuck? It's because the performances, it's the same trash show that the fucking Big Bang trash is in the fucking Two Broke Girls. It's like an automatic pilot that their machine makes all those shows and the beats of the jokes and the crash and the shit and whatever. I don't mind the early scenes of that because fucking Charlie Sheen and what's his name and
John Cryer
have chemistry. They have
and the mother.
They have funny.
And the housekeeper, all four of them.
But the writing is trash of all of those series because it's assembly line sitcom writing. It's not interesting sitcom writing like Arrested Development, 30 Rock, or Raising Hope, or fucking My Name is Earl or something, which uses the tropes of that shit to kind of turn itself in on itself. Like, that show is just complete
and it really
fabricated
shows
trash.
When Charlie Sheen leaves and they replace him with that 70s kid.
Oh yeah, with Aston fucking spunked my ass.
It really shows it, once that happens, once that change takes place, it really, really, really shines through.
Okay, you guys.
And it makes even the early episodes hard to watch. It's just like How I Met Your Mother, watching the end of the season finale.
That How I Met Your Mother
series finale.
How I Met Your Mother
the whole
is
fucking thing for me.
Yeah, but it's absolutely, Joe. I agree with that. It's hard to go back and watch a series because of the series finale and where it ends up. But it's never.
I can't even watch a single episode or scene. I'm like, ugh.
I tried recently. It's hard. It's hard, Joe. Lux says I'm a little late, but Katie is always welcome. And we gave you guys a little issues program here at the end. Joe, I'll let you go because I know you're in a hurry to go watch the episode again. Joe and I will be back next week to talk more about this episode. I might be back midweek this week or midweek next week with Matt to do a new couple of Sopranos episodes and finish off season 3 of The Sopranos. I also have 2 new things coming soon about some old series that don't get enough love that I have to get out there. I just don't know how they're going to be, whether they're going to be live streams or videos. I think I'll be joining Tony on Tuesday night on his Last of Us stream. So if you haven't subscribed to Teflon TV, make sure you do that. And he does the pre-show every week for The Last of Us as well. 7 till around 8 or 7:30 to 8:30. And I'll pop in on those pre-shows sometimes. And maybe Joe, if he's available, will pop in on one of those occasionally too. So make sure you check that out. And make sure you subscribe here and hit that like button on your way out. And follow Joe on Twitter. Ask him all your silly fucking Last of Us questions. And Joe, I'll talk to you next week.
Word.